All right, guys, Thanksgiving week, we have a big one today. Well, I was kind of surprised, actually, because, like, last minute, Matt and I were conversating last weekend, and, we're trying to really get into the holiday realm because, the contests are coming to an end, but I had a very special person walk in to our podcast studio today, Angelica, Ms Olympia Bikini Champion. And we know we have many greats, but we could have the greatest with us today. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And you're not competing.
No, it feels weird.
Right?
It feels like if I'm in Vegas, it's because of the Olympia. It was always like that. And me here just, to be in the podcast, so it's so amazing, but it feels different.
Did you win all your titles in Las Vegas?
All my titles in Las Vegas. Yes.
It's so crazy because the Olympia, I just saw you in Florida.
Yes.
Like 2 weeks, was it 2 weeks ago? Or and you were there, but I didn't know you were even there. And then all of a sudden you walked in the gala, which is like the whole end of the weekend.
Yes.
And you were there. And I said, wow, you made it out because, you were rushing the last time we were together. We spent some time at the expo. Yes. Was it Houston?
Houston. Mm-hmm.
And you were like literally landing and separating yourself from your children for the first time,
yes.
I think.
Yes. Was the first time I slept like without. Yeah. It's tough.
How has that transition been for you? It's crazy. Like you went from the stages to your ultimate dream, probably the best gift of it all, to have children, right?
Sure. Yes.
It was something you always talked about and wanted, and you had a lot of great success, with your career.
Mm-hmm.
But becoming a mom, how important was that to you?
Oh my God, Jay, it's like I cannot even put to words like what it means. It's like I've been, I achieved so much, like competing in my career. But once I became a mom, that's when I saw and I could feel what really real happiness is and real achievement, because it's something that fulfills you. When you see your kids smile, it's like nothing.
I know, it's pretty amazing when I get to see on like FaceTime and the pictures and I see, things that you post. But the crazy thing is you walked in this morning and I looked at you and I'm like, wait a minute. You look
with the mom body.
Absolutely amazing. And I was just watching Instagram yesterday and I saw you working out legs and I'm like, okay, former champion, but you still look absolutely amazing. How do you do it? How are you managing this?
Yeah, it's everyone's asking me because my younger baby now, mom of two, right?
Yeah.
So I had Alyssa, and then when she was 4 months, I got pregnant of Isla, and then Isla now is 9 months. So one will be two years next month, and the other one is 9 months now. So, 9 months postpartum, like I have all the women reach out to me, like, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? You look so amazing. I think, Jay, is because, like when you know what to do, of course it helps because I competed for 8 years. And then it just becomes a lifestyle, like training, eating, but now I'm kind of like, after I saw that my body was getting, like back to normal, kind of like got me excited. And after I went to the Olympia, I was there to do the pay-per-view for Brazil. So I was working. I did that last year, pregnant, like big belly, like 7 months pregnant. And then this year, I was there like 2 babies at home, and then I left them at home. And I was there doing the pay-per-view and watching everyone, all the bikini girls, and talk to them. And I'm like, you know what? Like, it's just like getting back to my routine. Let me see how my body will respond. 2 weeks, I'm like, oh my God, like I can see my abs already. I'm like, oh, I'm getting excited.
Your biggest fan right here, by the way, because you are like the ultimate pregnant.
Yeah, she didn't.
Like she looked exactly the same. Besides, okay, you had a little.
Yeah, you didn't like gain any weight in your face or nowhere. You just you look like a girl with a big belly.
And I was eating a lot. Of course, when you're pregnant, you gotta eat more, right? Because you gotta feed the baby. But I was really like eating, not dieting at all. But it is, as I say, it's a lifestyle. So I ate like good food the whole pregnancy, but a lot of more food.
You and her are so similar that you don't diet.
regimens.
Even though you're retired, you still eat the same as when she still
It's just a little manipulation to get, like, I mean, because you probably, I mean, how close did you stay in striking distance when you were competing off season to, I know you were competing. I mean, you would do Arnold and Olympia, right?
She did a lot of shows.
Yeah, but how much weight did you fluctuate?
It was always around like 10 pounds, mostly. Yeah, 10 pounds. There was a few of
That means 5 pounds of water, 5 pounds of water.
I was going to say for you, that was how much you lost overnight.
Yeah, before the show.
More than 10.
Yeah, more than 10. Yeah. Well, you have a lot of water weight. You know, I drank a lot, and obviously.
I heard you saying that in one of your podcasts that you had to always like peak, and that was hard for you because you had to really like pull the water.
When you drain the water, you have to be careful not to flatten out from the muscle, because the muscle is mostly water, right? Over 70% is, muscle is water. So we had to, obviously do a lot more drastic. And I mean, the evolution of bikini. So you're watching these girls. What do you think about the evolution? Because now you're looking at these girls, which I think most of them didn't compete when you were up there dominating, right?
Yeah, I had Laura Lee. She got second place.
The first year she got, right?
Yeah, in 2018, and I won the second title. She got second place. She looked absolutely amazing. And for me, she was going to take the title,
right away, right?
Next year, for me, it was going to be between me and her. And then things didn't go her way. And she's still, up there. But she's waiting, to see her coming and winning that title. And Jennifer Dory, too, she was starting. She was even talking to me. I love them so much.
Sweet,
she's so sweet. She saw me in the restroom, right before she went on stage. She was like, Angelica, I was just talking about you, and I was so sick because I got food poisoning at the Olympia. And Saturday I had to speak about bikini, do the pay-per-view, but I was super sick. So I was waiting for my time to start talking about bikini, and I'm like, okay, let me go to the restroom because I feel so sick. And then I found her in the restroom. She was waiting in the restroom. She could have her time.
Peace, yeah.
Yeah, her peace. And then she was like, Angelica, I was just talking about you. Like I was just telling the girls how you were welcoming, my first Olympia, I didn't feel that, I felt that I didn't belong. And you came, you hugged me, and you said, no, you are here because you deserve, and that you inspired me so much. So it was so good to hear from her, from someone that was starting when I was up there, and now she's up there. So, to hear that I have inspired girls that now are on top, something like that. Nothing pays for that.
So before you became the champion that all of us know, let's go back to you and before you even moved to America. Yeah. What got you on your fitness journey? Because I know in Brazil, it's not, at that time, it wasn't like it is now.
Oh, yeah.
So how did you get started in your fitness journey?
Okay, so when I was still living in Brazil, I started my fitness journey very young. I was 14 years old when I tried to join a gym to lift weights. And in Brazil, they didn't allow me. They were like, oh, no, you're too young. You just can start lifting weights when you're 18 years old. And I'm like, oh, why? I feel ready. I wanted to build muscle. I had a lot of bullying at school my whole life because I was skinny. But I always had the genetics. I always had those little muscles. And, I felt that I could have a nice body if I start lifting weights. But they didn't let me, so I started group fitness class just to start moving. I was 14 years old. And then when I was 18, I started teaching dancing, Brazilian dance, and also lifting weights. And I started I went to college for sports science, and I got my degree. And after I got my degree, 4 years college to become a personal trainer. That's what I wanted to do. I was already working as a trainer, as a fitness instructor in Brazil. And then I moved to US. And because my husband was transferred by his company to work here. And I was and everyone, all his friends said, oh, you're going to make more money than Marco. You're going to make so much money because you're such a good professional in Brazil. And I'm oh, I got so excited. When I got here, I was okay, so time to make some money, but no English. So I was how I'm going to be a personal trainer? How I'm going to be a fitness instructor with no English? So, the truth just hit me, and I'm okay, what I'm going to do now? So I started working in the supermarket, but I knew what I wanted, So the supermarket was my English school. So I started learning English. I took my time. Once I moved to New Jersey, that was in Texas. Once I moved to New Jersey, I was like, you know what? Now it's time to try. So I asked for a job in a gym, and they were like, oh, I don't know. Like this type of class that you're saying, I don't know if people are going to like it, but I'll let you try. So I started fitness class, and oh my God.
It took off.
Yes, it took off. Like first week, it was just a few. Second week, a bunch of girls. And then by the end of the first month, they were like getting names because they couldn't fit everyone in the room. And the owner come and was like, what are you doing? Like this class, you work so much, because I asked him to buy like ankle weights because they didn't have in the gym. And that's what we do in Brazil. We work the glutes since we were born, right? So once you can get like...
I noticed that when I travel there.
Yes. All the women, like I started working on my glutes when I was, of course, 14 years old, like with ankle weights, because I could not go to really lift weights. But I started doing that, like teaching them, like in my class with the ankle weights and all the like dumbbells and exercise like that, and everyone loved it. And the warm-up was always like a little Brazilian dance, like something fun. Oh my God, all the women, they loved it. So after that, I saw like on Instagram that people, like starting to compete. I'm like, oh my God, what is that? Like, it's so fun. I think I'm almost there, because I always like training my whole life. I always had a nice physique, but I was like, okay, I want to get to that level. I want to know the secret so I can like use with my clients and also get myself in a better shape. But I just want to do one competition. So my goal was just to do one, because I always love to eat. Like food is like my thing. It was always like that. So Marcus said, you're not going to be able to do that because you like eating so much.
Diet, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you cannot do the diet. I'm like, well, I can do whatever I want, because, like if I say I want to do it, I will do it. And he said, I know you like that. Like once you say you're going to do, I know you're going to do. But are you sure you want to do it? I'm like, I do. I want to learn the secret.
So what did you do, a bikini competition or a figure? Or...
No, I did figure. Like...
It's because, did they have bikini then?
They had bikini,
Okay.
but I didn't know. I didn't. Oh,
We
my God,
fit. That's the biggest problem, I think, a lot of girls, and they probably ask you, is where do I fit?
Yeah.
And it's hard to say until you diet down and see what you look like, right?
But you know what, Jay? I didn't know anything about the sport. I didn't know the difference about the divisions. I didn't know that there was figure and then there was bikini. That's why I tell everyone, guys, research more before you start. And make sure that you're doing the right thing for your physique. Because for me, I hired a coach, and he was from Brazil, but he lived in Florida. And his wife did figure. So I think all he knew was figure, So he told me, okay, that's what you're going to do. You're going to do figure. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say. I trusted him, And of course, training my quads. Since young, I had more quads than, like the bikini competitors, showed. So he said, no, you have quads, so you figure. But I never had the lats. It was like in lats, the back is so important for figure. And the shape, the V-taper. And I never had that. So he was like, oh, no, like you're going to prep for a little while and then you're going to be good. And with 1 month, he said, you ready to compete? I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, there's a show in New York. It was Steve's show, Steve Weinberger's show. There's a show. I'm like, but it must be a big show. He's like, no. Don't worry about it. It's a nice show. We're going to come because I have another athlete competing, so you should step on stage. I'm like, oh, my God. I didn't have a bikini. I had to borrow one. So I didn't know anything. And I'm like, what about the posing? I don't know how to pose. It was like, oh, we're going to help you. So I met with him and his wife one day before, and she was trying like, okay, do this. Like, okay, spread your legs. And I'm like, but how? I'm like, it's like, oh, no, where's your legs? I'm like, I don't think I have it. And when I step on stage, I was like, no, backstage, he was like, oh, I'm seeing the bikini girls, right? And I didn't know. I'm like, oh, I'm getting excited because I'm like, okay, I think I'm good. Like, look at the bikini girls. And I'm like, oh, are those the girls that I'm competing against? And he's like, oh, no, those are the bikini girls. I'm like, oh, bikini? Oh, I'm like, oh, they look nice. They're like, no, you're competing against those girls. I'm like, oh, my God, but they have so much more muscle than me. And once I step on stage and I was trying to pose and I was looking to the side, oh my God, it was, when I see pictures like, okay, I was doing the
You got to
wrong
find
thing
some
for
of these
sure.
old pictures.
Yeah. Oh, I have some. I can give you some to put in there.
So how did you finish in that contest?
Oh, the first one, 16, of course.
Really?
Let's call out.
She started it like
Yeah. And I remember Steve's face. It was my first show, and I'm like, "Oh, what's that old guy? He's so mad. Like, he don't like me." And I remember Ms Ali's face. He was like looking at me and like shaking, and like he was. And then I asked him later, because later, you know, like I started like doing more shows and, you know, going to other shows, and I kind of like trying to talk and saying, "Oh, what, I'm doing the right thing because I'm not doing well." And Mass came to me like, "Hey, since your first show, I'm watching you. You're doing the wrong thing. You're not supposed to do figure. You are bikini." And I'm like, "Bikini?" And then I start like researching, because we didn't have anything online, almost nothing. So I'm like, okay, bikini. So I found a few things online, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing, you know?
Who was a person you looked at in bikini at that point that maybe, okay, that physique is what it is?
Yeah, it was Natalia Mello. Brazilian.
So funny. I just came across her Instagram. She's like a motivational speaker now.
Yeah,
right?
she's an influencer. She has her podcast. She has like
is she living where you live?
Clients she coaches too. She lives in Texas. I forgot the name of the city, but yeah, it's so close.
So crazy because like I think about all these pioneers of the division, and that name, it's like wow. Is she Brazilian also?
She's Brazilian also.
So you guys connected.
Yeah. So she was the champion at that time, and I look at her, and then her posing, and you know, her flow and how feminine, and like she was having fun on stage and moving, and I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do, because I never like I love figure, like I respect figure so much, but I never like the way we pose. It's so stiff, and I was a dancer, like I danced my whole life, like I did 8 years of jazz, and I was teaching like Brazilian dance for years. And I always like to move and perform, and I wanted to come on stage and kind of like show a little more of my personality. And when I saw those videos online of Natalia Mello posing, and then I feel all the girls, there was Amanda Latona too, you know, she had all the sass. And I'm like, oh my God, here I can show a little bit of my personality and kind of like perform on stage.
Well, I think you'd have to practice some of these poses not a day out, right? That's probably the biggest... I think the biggest takeaway from this is like you learned how to pose for a show the day before, where I constantly, people ask me, hey, I want to do a competition. What do you suggest on the female side for like bikini or whatever? I said, look comfortable on stage in heels and learn the poses, right? And the thing is, like, we could go up there and grimace and be, you know, get in the face, but you guys have to look elegant and classy. And you talk about that sass, right?
Yes.
That you guys have to have. So you have to feel comfortable in your skin. And I mean, obviously you being uncertain of the division you are in, and when you found bikini, were you just like, this is it?
Yes. Well, I tell everyone, Jay, don't do what I did. Like I did everything wrong. Like I don't know how I was so successful, you know, later. Because at the beginning I did everything wrong. I did not research. I just trusted like the coach that I found, and he said, okay, that's what it is. I'm like, okay. I just closed my eyes, did the diet, did the training, was on stage with 4 weeks of prep. Like, this is not enough, you know?
Yeah, but he would say you were ready for it, because he always talks about your genetics.
You just get ready fast.
Well,
really fast.
Yeah, I do.
She was the first person I think I've ever seen that even during a prep, she's having to eat cheeseburgers every couple days to slow her metabolism down.
Yeah.
Well, you're super active since you were young. I mean, you teach at these dance. I mean, you have to still dance sometimes, right?
Yes, I love it.
Just at home by yourself?
Yeah, that's how I hurt my knee. Remember?
I knew. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
A knee problem that nobody knew about. I was very quiet.
Nobody knew. Yeah.
So when was your first bikini show?
Was it one of Steve's shows?
It was the same year. So I did 3 figure shows. My 3rd figure show, I discovered bikini. And I was like, you know what? So let me try bikini too. So I did both. And I'm like, of course, my plan was to do nationals. That was the plan. I didn't know I could do, but we can talk about that, you know, in a little bit. But my plan was to get qualified, of course. So I'm like, okay, let me see if I get qualified in figure or bikini. Let's see what I'm supposed to be doing. So that show, it was a Ms Ali's show. It was a New Jersey show, but it was also Steve. They both, you know, was doing the show together, But I went to do the show, and then I placed 2nd in figure.
What show was it?
it was, the name was New Jersey State. New Jersey State. So I went to the show, I placed second in figure, and then after figure, I went on stage for big. I changed really quick, and like people,
Cross divisions.
Yeah, cross divisions, and people like, oh, go, you have just a little time, go, because before it wasn't. I don't think it wasn't masters division yet. It was just the open, right? So you go for figure. Next is bikini. They're like, oh, you have just a few minutes, go change, and I'm like rushing, and I changed to a bikini. And then I went on stage, and then I didn't know the posing as well, because there was no posing codes at that time.
But it was a little less strict, I think, with the posing then, right? It wasn't as...
You kind of like whatever you felt that was right.
There's protocol now and a lot more.
Oh, yeah, now a lot more. I think with every division that, I started in 2013, bikini started in 2010. It was still new, back then, So what I did, I changed, and I was watching what the bikini girls was doing on stage. And I'm like, oh my God, what should I do? I know I can have more sense, but what are the mandatory poses? And I was kind of like watching, and I saw some things like Natalia Mello online, but she was a pro. She wasn't with any PC. And I'm like, is the same thing? Yeah. And then I was watching, I'm like, okay, she's doing the same thing as I saw like Natalia Mello and Amanda Latona doing. So it's kind of what I have been seeing, but I didn't know how to do the transitions. I knew how to do the pose, but not the transitions. So I was like, okay, I went on stage. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do my perform. Like, I'm going to come, I'm going to turn however I can. And
front and back pose.
Front and back. And, the turn, I did the whole
hair flip and all that.
Hair flip and I'm like, okay, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I felt like myself on stage, and I put on a show, and everyone was like, oh. And I got a second place, So I placed second on figure and second on my first bikini show. And then I was like, okay, I got qualified for both. And I felt like when I did bikini on stage for the first time, I'm like, okay, I fell in love. That's when I really fell in love with bodybuilding. Like with my figure, I just wanted to win, because I wanted to do first. The goal was to do one show, and then I loved the stage, and I played so bad in my first show that it kind of got the fire on me that I wanted to at least be in the picture, right? Place top 5. And then after I got the top 5, I'm like, no, now I want to win. And then when I got the second place on bikini, I'm like, I know I can do this. I can win. I can win a bikini show. And I didn't know the difference, of one day becoming Ms Olympia. I didn't know that any of that existed until it was one goal at a time.
Levels, yeah. So Maz pushed you to that division. You were successful. I mean, it sounds like you were getting successful in both divisions, actually. But Marco, you'd said he said you can't diet. So what was the outcome of that? I mean, he was supportive, obviously, right? Because he's been at every event.
Yes.
Such a great man, right? So super supportive. He's always been your best cheerleader. So when he saw the transition, what did he think about it?
He said, oh, thank God. That's what you're supposed to be doing. First show, I saw you with the other girls. I'm like, okay, that's it.
Well, you had to diet, right?
I had to diet, yes.
And this coach was helping you all along?
No, this coach was just for the first show.
Oh, okay.
And then I saw that, for my other shows first, I had a friend in the gym that he used to prep bodybuilders. And he approached me like, oh, you did a competition. And then I told him what I was doing. He's like, oh, you're doing everything a little wrong. You are not supposed to be doing this. When we hear a little bit from everyone. And for my other 2 figure competitions, I was kind of doing what he told me to do. And then I did bikini following what he said, for me to do. And then after I did bikini and I said, okay, I love bikini. I'm like, okay, now I need to find a bikini coach. So that's when I found, another team. I went to Team Bombshell. They were amazing to me. I was with Team Bombshell until I turned pro.
That was Shannon, right?
Yeah. Shannon and Jennifer Strobel. Yeah. And yes, Asia was the name of my coach. And they were amazing. It was a great journey with them, improving. And I start training in a Bev's gym, at least once or twice a week. I made the trip. I always drove an hour and 30 minutes, depending on the day, the traffic to go to Bev's gym to make sure that I was in the environment,
Was that motivation? Was that motivational for you? Yes. And Steve was super supportive. I'm sure people in the gym were supportive. People were really serious there, right?
Yes.
Was the equipment important for you to use? I mean,
It was too. It was more, honestly, being like bikini and training so heavy my whole life. I could not train so heavy anymore. So it wasn't really the equipment.
Why though? Why? Because you didn't want to build too much muscle, or
I could not build so much muscle.
you think genetically you build muscle really easy, or?
I think so. Yes. I got this from my daddy. My daddy is like he works out at home. And like he got some dumbbells, but he was always like more like skinny, but you can see all the muscles.
Defined,
yeah, all the muscles defined. Like his calves, I got my calves from him, and like you can see like the arms, the shoulders, all the cuts. So I think it's genetics, like, yeah. So training my whole life, once I started doing bikini and of course training for figure after I found out, okay, I don't have legs. Let me train heavier for this next, like shows. And when I started like bikini, I was like, okay, so now I need to slow down because my quads are a little bit too big already. I see these girls, they look more soft, like the quads is not like so big. They have more glutes. So I started like putting my training more towards bikini, So it was all about the glutes, way less about the quads. I stopped doing like leg extensions. Like I stopped doing leg press for a little while. And I was just doing like a lot of, all my training was focused on building the glutes because I had good glutes, but of course for bikini at that time was all about.
Is that the number one thing?
You can never have enough glutes, but now you can kind of like, be careful.
But the tie-ins have to be important, right? I mean, that's...
At that time, no.
But now?
Now, yes. But also, I think they're taking a step back now. Like, it's not all about the tie-ins. Like, they don't want to see a lot of hamstrings anymore, It was like, there was a point when I lost my title that I think it got super, like, they really wanted to see the glutes really defined, like a lot of definition there with the hamstrings. And then I think bikini started going in a way that is not so healthy anymore. And it's supposed to be healthy. Like bikini, when I was winning, I was making sure that I was keeping bikini soft and healthy. And I was eating burger like before my shows to still look soft,
So because you got lean so easy, right?
Yeah, because and doing figure, I had more muscle, so I could never show, like, you see, look, I just had the baby and all my veins are showing, So I had that on me and I always try to hide that.
They don't want a lot of veins, right?
No veins, no. Like if you have some veins in the arms, that's fine, but they don't want to see veins in the stomach, like they don't want to see that you're very shredded and like muscle striations, So I think like there was a point that it was getting too hard, like you say, they were looking for the tying. It was all about the tying, about the drop of the glutes, when it comes and does, the drop. But now they don't want to see that much anymore because they want bikini. I love the way that bikini is going now because I feel that it's going a little softer. It's still athletic, still conditioned, but a little soft and more natural.
I can't. It's hard for me to judge these shows. You're better at it than I am, but
it's hard for me to judge the bodybuilders.
So it's like the front pose is important. Like there's supposed to be like that waist and...
Yeah, it's about the hourglass when you do the front pose. And before we used to pose, it was different. We used to stand more like up front and turn the waist, but you still got to face the front more. It was the standard, like posing for bikini. But with time, we changed to the other one that we kind of like sit and show the side, but we still turn the shoulders, yeah.
And the
legs but they also don't want to see we turning all the way, like like they start doing. I think it was after 2019 when Isa won. Isa, she has more of the shape, So she is amazing, and her physique is really nice. But some people compare her to figure because she has, like
wide
size, wide shoulders, and she poses more turning to the front. She has such a small waist that she turns to the front, and it looks even smaller. And after she won, all the bikini, like the NPC, everyone started turning more to the front. But the following year, for 2020, I went to Pittsburgh, and Tyler said, "Oh, let me see how you're posing. Like, we don't really want the girls to keep posing like they're posing, like turning the upper body all the way to the front because it looks a little bit more stiff." And I'm like, "Oh, no, I just done a little bit more." And like, "Oh, are you engaging your lats?" I'm like, "No, at all. I never try to really like show the lats. It's just because we train back, it shows a little bit and it's part of the hourglass, but you never try to open the lats when you're doing the bikini pose. It's more relaxed." best, you know.
So talk about your journey to get your pro status, because yours is unique, and Jim Mannion changed the rules because of you.
Yeah.
So explain what it took to get your pro card, and what was the journey you had to go through and the issues you had to go through to get it.
Okay, so after, I placed second, right, on the figure and bikini. So I'm like, okay, what am I doing now? I'm like, okay, I'm going all the way with bikini. So now I'm nationally qualified. And I start looking like ticket to fly to Miami, because that was the next national show. And everything, like, you know, like the hotel. And then I went to decide to do the entry for the show. And then I saw there, like, writing, like, oh, must be an American citizen. And I'm like, oh, it was like some cold water came to my face. And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? I'm not an American citizen. You know, at that time, I think I had a green card already. Do you remember that? That knows more of my journey than me.
No, Marco was on a O1A visa.
Oh yeah, that's
and you were on the O1B because you're a spouse.
Yes.
So he had it with what's called an alien with extraordinary abilities, because people don't know he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu professor, which is a high level at what he does. So he got that. So you were on a attached visa to his. I don't think you had your green card yet.
No, we were about to apply for the green card. Yes. And I'm like, oh my God, so I'm here on the visa. Okay, we're on the process of applying for the green card, but well, it doesn't mean that I'm an American citizen yet. So I contact like Bombshell, like Shannon, and I'm like, Shannon, what's going on? Like, I cannot do national. She's like, oh my God, Angelica, it's the same issue Natalia Mello had. She was also not an American citizen. And but there's a way, because Natalia Mello, she just had to win one overall, and Brazil gave her pro card. And then she started competing as a pro. It was super fast. And I'm like, oh, so I just get like an overall, I win she's like, okay, gotta be a bigger show. Like, let's try to win an overall at the New York show. And I'm like, okay, but I'm like, are you sure? So like, okay, let's email Jimania. So we emailed the NPC, we spoke to Jimania, explained the whole situation. He's like, okay, yeah, Brazil can give her pro card if she win overall. So, of course, I didn't do the national that year, so I went on off-season, and next year the goal was to win overalls. And he said, oh, I don't know how many, but there was Natalia Mello, a situation that she won just one, and
they granted
her, you know, the pro card, and she represents Brazil. And I'm like, okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I start the season in 2014, winning an overall. I went to Connecticut and I did a show there and overall. And then I went to a show in New York and I got second place. I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, okay, I'll keep going. I'll win one more and then I'll see like if I can get the overall. And then I did your show, Cutler in Boston. And I remember you there and you come and talk to all the athletes and say hi to me. And I'm like, oh my God, Jay. It was so surreal. It's surreal to be here, you know, now. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so nice. And I won the overall there. And I'm like, okay, choose. So I emailed the NPC and they're like, okay, let me see. And they're like, oh, you need 4. You need 4 overalls. Like 2 is not enough. I'm like,
several. I think Callum had to do the same.
Yeah. And then I went and I won. So what did I do? I think I did 11 shows in 2014 to get my pro card. And that year, I think I won just 2 overalls. No, I won 3 overalls. I won 2 in, I won 1 in Connecticut, and then I won in Boston. Yeah. And then I went back to Connecticut and won there again in a Europe show. And then I think, there was 3. No? I forget. I think it was in a New Jersey show. I won another one. There was 4 overalls. And then I applied again, and they said, oh no, it was in Brooklyn. But it was the first time they had the show. It was a big show. So many athletes. But they said, oh, you have 4, but the Brooklyn show, it's a new show. It's
not a national qualifier.
I think it wasn't a national qualifier. Like, we did not count that one. So you still need 1 more. So I had 4, and then I'm like, okay, off season again. After 11 shows that year, I was doing 1 show every month. It was crazy. Marco supported me all the way, like you asked, and he was like, no, you're going to get that goal. You want to get your pro card, let's do it, you know? So I went on an off season, and then I started the season 2015. And I'm like, okay, so I need one more. I'm going to get 2 more. So my first one was New York Mets. The Metropolitan is a big show. One of
course,
the
it's one of Steve's biggest, yeah.
Yes, one of the biggest because the first one of the season.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's so big. And I went there and I won the overall. And then the following week, I went to the biggest in New Jersey, it's the John Kemper. And then I won the overall there too. So that made 6 overalls. So when I emailed to Manuel, he said, okay, that's enough. Like, girls are not even liking, like I was showing up at shows and the girls like, what are you doing here, Angelica? Like, well, why are you not doing nationals? Well, you're going to be here winning everything. I'm like, girls, I'm so sorry, but I have to keep going. That's the way for me to get my pro card. And then as everyone start to understand, they were kind of like cheering me on, like, okay, no, you're right, you're going to get it, but we can't wait for you to just stop doing the NPC shows, you know? They were just like that. And then I won all those pro cards, and then I told Jimeno, like, hey, President Jimeno, I just won, like 6 overall, so I think that's, I don't know if it's enough, but you tell me. And he's like, well, you deserve to be a pro, so let's just send this to Brazil and let's see what they say. So we sent that to Brazil, and they said, oh, okay, that's great, 6 overalls. Now you just need to come to Brazil and compete in Brazil.
Oh, no.
Yes. It was like that.
A lot of hoops to jump through.
Yes, so much. Like, it was not easy like it was, at the beginning. I'm not saying that it was easy for Natalia. She probably did the other shows, and then she won the overall, and they graded her. And I thought that was going to be the same for me. But I think they were like, oh, all these athletes here in Brazil are doing so much trying to get the pro card, and then she's just going to win 6 overalls. Like, it's nothing, right? It was journey. It was 20 shows for me to win 6 overalls.
That's a lot to compete in a year, though. You
Yeah.
did 11 in a year? You did 11 in 1 year?
11 in 2014. I started in 2013. 2013, I did 6 shows. And then in 2014, I did 11 shows. And then, of course, I did more, like 2 more shows to get, the overalls I needed. And then they asked me to go to Brazil and compete at the Arnold. They invited me, but I think they thought like, oh, she's not an American citizen. I don't think she can come here. So that's going to be an excuse to say no. And then I said, oh, no, I had the green card already at that time. And then they said, oh, you can come and do Arnold here. When I said I could come, they were like, they sent another, and I told President Manny, okay, I'm going to do the Arnold. It's like, okay, great. That's great. And they said, oh, you come, you don't even need to win. You just need to compete in Brazil. So we can tell she's representing Brazil, and she have competed here at least once. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I'm coming. And then they changed their mind, and they said, no, you know what? You cannot compete because the athletes here need to do a local and then a state and then qualify.
Not just go right to the Arnold.
No, they need to qualify to do the Arnold. And then they're like, oh, we cannot just invite you like that. I'm like, well, now I had already bought the tickets. And I told President Jimenez, and we were all like, set up to do it. Yeah. And then I'm like, I can't believe that. I'm like, no, I already bought the ticket. And I kept like back and forth with President Jimenez. And I'm like, hey, they say now that I can't come. They're like, he say, no way. He invited you. I saw. You sent me the email. And now you need to go. So they changed their mind and they invited me back. So I'm like, okay, now I'm coming. So when I arrived in Brazil, everything was different. They treat me so bad, and I was so excited to compete in my country. I'm like, oh my God, I'm competing in Brazil. It's going to be so awesome. I had my family coming to watch and everything. And they at check-ins, they're like, okay, go put on your bikini. I'm like, oh, okay, I put on the bikini. They're like, you cannot use that bikini. It's too small. And I'm like, well, that's the bikini I compete in US with the NPC. Oh, the NPC, of course, yes, like making fun of me. And I'm like, I'm like, really? And they're like, okay, you cannot use that bikini. You have another one or you cannot compete. I'm like, oh, I have an old one that I use for posing, just to practice my posing. Go put it on. I put it on and it's old, like the crystals are falling down. And they're like, oh, okay, you can use that one, same size. But she saw it was old. So I'm like, okay, where's your shoes? I'm like, oh, it's here. It's too high. You cannot compete with those shoes. I'm like, what? Like, yeah. No, it's too high. I'm like, but what shoes I'm going to wear? Oh, go to the shop and buy like any shoes it doesn't need to be like that. Any one that you buy, it just got to be smaller. I'm like, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, I have this one that I practice posing. Okay, that one you can. Like everything old. And then when I got there, they put me in like last place to do my makeup. It was kind of like, I felt it was kind of like a setup. Yes, And then I was the last one online to do the makeup. And I'm like, well, but I did this like way before. And they're like, oh no, you are the last one in line. So when I sat to do my makeup, they called me. They went there, Angelica Teixeira, you need to come. Or otherwise you're not going to compete. But just like that. And I'm like, oh, but I just sat here to do my makeup. Like, no time. I'm like, thank God I had I had such a beautiful face, I was so young, of course, back then. And I'm like, okay, just put some lipstick on and put some lashes on, and that's it. You don't need to do any makeup. So that's what they did. I went on stage without makeup, and I was sitting online forever. And I'm like, I look at them and I'm like, okay, I see. Like I was waiting. There was more than 40 minutes waiting online, and the makeup was right on the side. And I'm like, okay, I see. So I went on stage, put on my show, of course, and I placed third still. I feel that they didn't want to give me any, like the third, but there was no way. I didn't know anyone in the judging panel. It was all from Brazil and Europe and South America. And I'm like, I still placed third. And then I'm like, okay, they said I didn't need to win, and I'm happy with that. I just want my pro card. And I was so upset because it was my country. It was my family was there. Yeah. And I was excited too, but I didn't know they had this kind of like this fight with the NPC, because back then it was the IFBB Pro League was just one thing. Yeah. They did not have the split yet, but this case, what I went through was one of the reasons for the split. So, I think I made history in both ways, And then they said, okay, go back. I got my trophy. I went back home. I came to U.S., spent 1 week with my family, and then came to U.S. And once I got here, I'm like, okay, time to get my pro card. Like, nobody said nothing. Like, so I emailed them and a big letter. Oh, thank you so much. It was amazing. I had a great time competing in Brazil. And they're like, okay, so now what about my pro card? They're like, oh, okay, it was great to have you here, but I'm sorry, but your pro card is denied. Even though you came and you placed third, it's just unfair that all the Brazilians, gotta go through this line to get the pro card, and then we're gonna give it to you like that. I'm like, but like that, it's me a journey. Like I have done 20 shows since you said I needed to win overalls. So it's me a big journey for me. And then you say that I need to go to Brazil to compete, and I was there, and you said I didn't need to win, and I still got top 3. Yeah. Placed top 3, and they said, I'm sorry, but it's denied. And then I translated everything, sent to Jimena, and he actually cursed. He's like, bullshit. And like, okay, just hold on, and don't do any move, just hold on. And I'm like, okay, I remember was the 2 longest weeks, of my life, because it wasn't in my hands anymore. I did everything I could, It was like waiting for me to get the citizenship that I just got in 2020. Imagine, because when you marry someone, you get it faster. But when you apply like we did, because, of work or special abilities, you need to wait 5 years to get your citizenship. So I'm like, oh my God, if I don't get it now, I'm going to wait 5 years to become a pro, So I was waiting, and then the pro card came in the mail. When I got the letter, I'm like, oh my God, FBB Pro League? And I opened the letter, and I'm like, oh my God, I got my pro card. And I'm like, okay, I'm representing Brazil, but that was US. And then I mailed President Jimena. He's like, you deserve to be a pro. Brazil really denied. They don't want you to represent them, but you gonna represent US. So it was the first time they did that for someone, because he said, we have been following this process since the beginning, and it's just not fair that you're gonna stop your career right here because you have a lot of potential. And we don't want you to keep competing with the amateurs. They don't want you there anymore. And then, that's when I got my pro card.
It's pretty exciting to get that pro card. I actually, when she just mentioned that in the mail,
yeah.
For me, I became a pro for so long. I don't even, but I remember when I did get the card in 96, I was 23, and they actually mailed the card to me, and I looked at it, and I'm like, wow. Because you never think, when you start, am I going to get this? And obviously you went through a lot of more.
She went through a lot more than you did.
Of course. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like it dragged forever. But so it always says representing USA.
I always say representing USA. Yeah. I didn't have the option. They never asked me, oh, do you want to represent Brazil? Because back then, if Brazil said no, they said no.
I'm sure it'd be different now, though, right?
Yeah, they told me, okay, if you want to get your pro card, now that we know that you can come here, you can come and go back, you can. We can give you your pro card, but you have to start all over. You have to do a local show and then do a national show, a state show and then a national show, and then see if you qualify for Arnold or for the Worlds. And then if you win the overall at the Arnold or the Worlds, that's when we're going to give you your pro card. And I'm like, it's not fair. Like, you told me since the beginning that there was a way for me, and I followed that path, since the end, like until the end.
Was that in Rio, that Arnold?
The Arnold was in Rio.
I went to all those, I used to be there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I mean, Brazil has become like a hotbed for, obviously, contests, and like we're seeing a lot of the champions in other divisions too. I mean, they started wellness and everything.
Mm-hmm.
What is it with the Brazilian genes?
Yeah.
I mean, even, Ramon, I mean, Felipe Franco is great. Yeah, I mean, all these people that... I mean, what is it? Why is it become so popular? And obviously, they went through all that transition, and now, I mean...
Yeah. Well, in Brazil, as I said, we have so many beaches, beaches. Everyone
wants to look good.
Yeah, everyone wants to look good all year round. Everyone is in the gym, like training to look good. And then as the sport start to grow, they were like, oh, we already doing the work. We're already in the gym. We already getting all the protein in, like eating and trying to build the body just to show off. Why not compete? So that's when the sport started to take off in Brazil, because that's what Brazilians do, Everyone wants to look good. All the men wants to be shirtless, walking on the street. It's normal in Brazil to be to a bank in Speedo. It's, yeah.
Could you imagine?
You go to
a bank in your Speedo?
Yeah, you go. You ever imagined that, Jay? Imagine you.
Just walking around the street. Speedo.
No, if it's a beach city, if it's a city that has a beach, you go to a bank, and then you're going to see people in Speedo.
I have a hard time even imagine I made a career of being in a Speedo, Like every picture I see, it's like when we were doing some appearances, and like, do you have anything other than in a like a bikini bottom or whatever? And because it didn't want to show so much, and it's like, well, that's just what I did, I mean.
Well, it was never a problem for the Brazilians.
Well, I mean, it's like I said, it's like the transition's been crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that if you weren't living in the States, if you guys didn't migrate to the U.S., do you think you still would have pursued this career if you would have stayed living in Brazil?
I think so. I think because when I first saw it, it was on Instagram. When Instagram came out and you start seeing the world a little more, right? Because I think I had Facebook before.
Yeah, Facebook
came before. But Facebook was more like to the family and closer friends. But with Instagram, we start to see like the world, like it really opened our eyes like to the whole world. And then I start seeing all these Brazilians and like it was actually my sister, my younger sister, that said, Angelica, did you see this? Look at these girls competing. You can't do that. You're so close. And Fernanda, she was the one that, like my sister, that said, you should do that because you're already doing everything. You're already in the gym. You're already working, like that. And you should at least try. Look, this will be great for you. I'm like, oh, you know what? So I think it would be the same because I would see everyone competing in Brazil because it was already big in Brazil. I didn't see anyone competing here in the U.S. I saw Brazilians competing through Instagram. And then I'm like, oh, I can do that. Like, I think I can do that. So I think it would be the same if I was in Brazil.
So you get your pro card in 2015, and then?
I got my pro card in 2015, and it was in June. And then I'm like, okay, I want to qualify for the Olympia this year. And I remember I was always at Bev's gym, and I asked Steve, do you think I have what it takes, like, to compete with the pros and be able to qualify? He's like, yeah, you do. You won the overall. Everyone was kind of impressed with your physique. And I think
he's always been a big fan of yours.
Yeah, no, he's part of my journey since my first.
She, when she would win the titles, she would hang them on Steve's wall for the year.
Yeah,
oh, really?
I still have a medal. It was like that, like like I got second place. I put my medal of second place there. It was, like in 2016, I placed second at the Olympia, and then I brought and I left my medal there, and I'm like, okay, next year I'm going to get a first place, and I'm going to replace it. I'm going to take the second place medal and leave the first place. And then that's what happened. And then the following year, I got the first place, and I brought the new one.
Yeah.
And then the following year, I lost my title. I got the third place. It was kind of sad that I got the first place, and I replaced with the third place, but it's still there. My third place medal is still in
So talk about your first pro show and your first qualification.
Okay, so I wanted to do a pro show right after. I was not one of those pros that wanted to improve and see how I look. No, I wanted to jump right. I did so much to get my pro card that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to jump in the first pro show. And there was Tampa Pro in 2015. I did the Tampa Pro, and I placed fourth. So I was like, I never thought that I could get the top 5 because Tampa is a big show, right? And back then it was the last one to qualify. No, it wasn't the last one. It was one of the last ones. After there was just 2 more shows to qualify for the Olympia. And then I got fourth place, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so close, so I can do this. There was a show in Georgia, and I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and I did, it was the Coastal USA. And then I did the show, and I got second place. And I'm like, oh my God, so close. And that was the last show. It was the first time they did the Naples Pro. And I think they just did for a few years. I don't think they have the show anymore. And they were giving like great award. They were giving like a Rolex and a bigger money award. And of course, the qualification to the Olympia. All I wanted was the qualification, but I went there and I won. And I won a Rolex, and I won, I think it was $5,000 if I'm not wrong at that time, but I don't even remember because all I care.
All you care.
Yeah,
she still has the Rolex.
I'm surprised Matt hasn't tried to buy it.
No, when I see her, she's like, I got this from Naples.
Yeah.
Is it going up in value or?
Of course.
Yeah. He always tells me, okay, that's where you got to save because that's how you save your money. Yeah. So keep that Rolex with you.
It's a good watch.
Yeah, it's a great watch. And of course, like people always told me, oh, why you don't sell that? I'm like, hey, that was my first pro show. I won this
first
Rolex, like my first pro win. I got qualified for the Olympia for the first time after fighting to become a pro, so I'm never going to sell this Rolex. Not if I become a millionaire, I'm still going to have the Rolex with me, and I use it all the time, So it's kind of like my good luck charm, So I got qualified, and it was just like, I remember it was less than a month for the Olympia because the Olympia was September still. And I went to the Olympia and I was kind of like burned out. I was, oh my God, I was so tired. I started getting so shredded because my metabolism, like by competing so much, started getting like so like speed up, and I couldn't. And I said, Steve, do you think I can do well? He's like, if you're able to keep your fullness, you can. I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be hard. And I'm like, I'm trying to eat more carbs. And more I was eating, I was getting even more shredded. And I'm like, it's like the carbs are just like
burning through you.
Yeah, burning, and they're getting me more shredded. And then my first Olympia, I got on stage. I look good, but I placed like second to last.
Sounds like I was second to last in my first,
We have a similar journey. Yeah. So it was just like a little devastating because, and I think it made me a better champion too because I expected, because I was winning so much in the amateur, of course it's a whole different game when you get to the pro level, right? And then I got to the pro level and I started placing, like the top 5, like fourth place and the second and the first. And it's kind of like, oh my God, I have what it takes. And then you go to the Olympia and it's kind of like, you wait and call out. Yeah.
You get smoked, and I'm like, and you think you're going to be called out with the top people. Like I was late, and like, okay, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, all these guys. I'm like,
Jay Cutler dead last.
Yeah, no, they just stood on the side, and I felt like, man, I sat in the room after, and I was kind of depressed. And,
yeah, me too.
And the funny thing is like my first one was 99, and then 6 months later, I went and won the Night of Champions, which is New York Pro, and then I was back on top and beating like some of the top 10 guys that just said beat me in the Olympia. So for me, I was super motivated. But, did you question your ability then?
I did. And I think it's like, I think everyone should go through what I did and what you did. We know what it is like to be in the last call out.
I was in, and then I was 8th, and then I was second, first, and so I know every position, like that whole lineup in the Olympia. I have like from top to bottom.
Yeah, it makes you want more. It makes you really value, once you get there to the top. I think like when you go like this too fast, when you get there, it's kind of like, oh, I'm here, But if you really fight like we did, it's different. When you get there, it's something that you're like, oh my God, this was just a dream. And I had to fight so much for this. And look at me now, I'm here. So once you're in that position, you feel that you're ready to represent, you're ready to really embrace being the champion, So being the last call out, in my mind was like, wow, now I know how it feels, because I was, of course, when I did my first show for figure, but once I started doing bikini, I started doing so well.
You hadn't placed so poorly.
Yeah, I never placed so poorly. And I'm like, it was like they didn't see me. I'm like, oh, something's wrong. They did not see me. And then I asked like Steve after, I'm like, Steve, give me feedback. What's going on? Like, it's like, Angelica, you are a little, standing with the other girls, you are a little too shredded. It's a few things that you need to change, like, if you want to do well. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, wow, I don't think I can do this. So I thought I had what it takes, but I don't think I do. And back then, I'm like, my husband, he supported the whole process. But once I turned pro, he's like, okay, now you got your pro card. So he was ready to have babies. He was like, I always wanted to have babies, but I wanted to first do everything that I wanted to do. Of course, because when you have kids, it messes with your physique. Of course, you gain weight, your belly grows and everything. So I'm like, baby, let me get my pro card first. Let's see, like how, where this journey gonna take me, and then we'll have babies. Don't worry. And he's like, okay. So once I got my pro card, he's like, okay, ready for babies. I'm like, oh my God, okay. Let me just compete as a pro. Let's see how I'm gonna do if I can qualify for the Olympia. And then I qualified. It's like, oh great.
Then you got killed. Then you got killed at the Olympia. So he was like, what?
He was like, baby, amazing. Like, congratulations.
Let's go.
You are amazing. You don't need to prove anything. Let's go. Let's have babies. And I'm like, baby, I think now you're right. Like,
But then 2016.
And then I'm like, okay, no, you're right. Like, okay, let's have babies. But you know what? I'm gonna send my letter of consideration, because I did the Olympia, but I always wanted to do the Arnold too. So I'll put my letter of consideration for the Arnold. If they invite me, it's because I'm supposed to do the show and keep going for a little while. And let's see how I do at the Arnold. But if they don't, that's it. We're gonna have babies and build a family, and then competing hour is gonna be there. I can come back later. And he's like, okay, sounds like a deal. So I didn't know what was the like, I sent an email, I sent pictures and everything that I done, but I thought they were gonna reply like,
deny you.
Yeah, no. I thought I'm like, babe, who am I? Like, like, okay, I did many shows to become a pro, but I placed like second to last to the Olympia. Why they gonna invite me? And then he was like, yeah, I don't think they're gonna invite you. I'm like, yeah, just gonna send, but let's see what they say. And I thought they were gonna reply next day or with a few days, but they didn't. I didn't know there was the list that came out. I didn't know what you see. I didn't know anything. Like, of course, I was still trying to catch up, learning English, and everything was a little bit too much and a little overwhelming for me, because once, when I came to US, I had no English, and at that time I was already, of course, speaking more, but my English was broken, and it
was still bad.
Yeah, it's still pretty bad. Well, it got better.
Yeah,
got better. But it was overwhelming to try to catch up on everything, to prep, to work, because I had to work because I had no family here. I had to pay the bills and everything. So I had to still be a trainer, still be a fitness instructor, still try to learn English and the diet and everything, and catch up with the rules was hard for me. And I'm like, so I was always a little bit lost. And I'm like, oh, they did not reply. I'm not, of course they denied. So I don't even, so I start eating and like, okay, to get pregnant, I need to gain some weight. So me and my husband, we start like going out for dinner. Well, the journey to get my pro card, we could not do anything. Like, it was crazy. Like, so he's like, okay, time to enjoy life. And we start like going out, dinner, traveling. And then I was in the gym teaching, with my clients. And my phone, like, beep, beep, and I never see my phone because I'm busy with my clients. And I'm like, oh, hold on, something's going on because it's beeping too much. And it was almost Christmas. And then I'm like, see the message, all the bikini girls that are, like I made so many friends in the NPC and, of course, the pros too. And they're like, congratulations, you got invited. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, they never replied to me. They're like, no, you are in the list. I'm like, what list? Like, oh, they just posted the list. There is a list that comes out when, like everyone sends the letter and then they put the list. Nobody knows until the list comes out. I'm like, oh my God. And then I look at myself, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like 15, almost 20 pounds over my stage weight. And it was almost Christmas. And of course, Arnold was like less than 12 weeks out. It was like 10 weeks. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I still got to talk to Marco because he thinks we're on our way to have babies now, So I got all excited. And then I got home. I'm like, baby, sit. And he's like, what? I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, well, I know you're excited to have babies, but something happening. He's like, what's going on? He's like, well, there's a list. I didn't know, but the list came out and my name is on it for the Arnold. And he's like, what? I'm like, he's like, well, I'm like, I know you want to have babies. He's like, baby, it's the Arnold. You have to do it, of course. And he supported me right away. And I'm like, are you sure, baby? He's like, yes, we can have babies later. Let's see like how you do at the Arnold. It's the Arnold. Oh my God. And he got all excited. And I'm like, but look at me, baby. I'm so fluffy. He's like, you got this. You know you got this. So I start like my diet like same day, like half, like in the afternoon. I'm like, okay, I'm cleaning my diet today. And I started on a diet. And then he's like, but I already had like my trip to Brazil to stay like a month in Brazil with our families. Like, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, what about Brazil? Like, oh, you can prep there. Like, that's fine. So that's when I changed codes. That's when I, like I joined with Kimoro. And I'm like, okay, so that's the feedback. I got feedback from Steve, from Sandy, from all the judges. They're like, okay, you were a little bit too shredded. We want bikini softer. You can be fuller. And then that's when I changed my posing. I started working on my posing by myself because I always loved posing. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring something special for the Arnold. And then I start like eating more, doing less cardio. And it was easier for me. I'm like, I felt that I wasn't doing enough. I'm like, I'm not doing enough. Oh my God, I was worrying. And then I saw my physique and all the food that I was eating was feeding my muscle to just be fuller. And I wasn't getting any like fat. I was just looking better and better and better. And then when I came to the Arnold that year in 2016, my first Arnold, that's when I stepped on stage and there was the top 5 that nobody break. Like it was always the same, like, like those girls that I always look up to. And then I came and the backstage was a little weird because nobody spoke to me. Nobody knew who I was. And was kind of like, oh my God, who am I? Like next to these girls. And then, but I always had that confidence in me. And like, you know what? If I don't believe in myself, who is going to believe? Like the judge's not going to believe if I don't believe in myself. You know what? I'm going to walk with these top pros like I belong here, And I went on stage I'm ready to shock them and really show that I improved. Like, that's all I want. And I went on stage, did my pose, and then that first call out, I'm waiting. I'm like, oh my God, please don't be like the Olympia, I don't want to be last again. And then they called me for the top 5 for the first call out. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I did not even get nervous when I got there because I was like, you know what? This is already a trophy. I'm like, I'm ready for it. Like, just to be in the top 5 call out, like the first call out, it was like I won the Arnold that day, because it was super hard to break the top 5. And then I did my thing and I ended up like not in the, kind of like, I got 4th place. And after that, I was like, well, I know some people would get mad to get 4th place, but coming from the Olympia, second to last. And then I get here and I get 4th place with all the top competitors. Like something's going right. So I got feedback and they all said, amazing, don't change anything. Like, I'm like, oh my God, like to hear from the judge that don't change anything. It's just like, so I got, the goal was to do Pittsburgh, but I decided to do Salt Lake City too. What's the name of the show now?
It's now called the Wabasha Warrior.
Yes, that's the name of the channel. So I was the first champion there. Yeah,
Salt Lake
first
City Showdown.
winner, Yes,
It's probably there, actually.
16.
You know what I placed at my first Arnold?
Oh,
Fourth.
I cannot believe that. Oh my God.
I was fourth, 99, my first Arnold.
Look at me and you. Oh my God. That's why they say, and I think that's the biggest compliment, that I'm the Jay Cutler of bikini. And now I
started
see
that.
why.
And then everyone ran with it.
Yes.
Because I know both of you very well, so I've always seen the similarities. So I've always said that.
But I never knew that.
I didn't know that
He
either
was
until
second
now.
to last in his first Olympic.
I beat Milos. No,
Yeah.
did I? Or did he get third there? I think he got no.
Arnold?
Yeah, no, I think he got fifth, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's,
So you do Salt Lake City.
yeah, I won that show, and then I came to Pittsburgh, and of course Pittsburgh and New York. That was my goal, to Pittsburgh and then New York, and see if I could win. And then, of course, if I did, I'll come really strong for the Olympia. And then I won Pittsburgh. And then Sandy said, of course, even winning, I always got feedback. Like, there was not one show that I did not go to the judge and like, what can I improve? And then Sandy said, nothing, just go rest. Now get ready for the Olympia. No more shows, Angelica. And I'm like, oh, Sandy, I'm sorry, but it's New York show and this is my home. I wanted that show to be my pro debut, and I couldn't do that show because I didn't get my pro card on time. So that's really dear to me. So I want to compete there so my friends, everyone can come and watch. She's like, of course, that makes sense. Go compete. And then I won New York Pro, and then I came to the Arnold, to the Olympia, and I placed second. So Courtney King won that year, and for me, everyone was like, are you upset? I'm like, no. I come like last year.
She was pretty young then, right?
She was real young.
She was
23, 24.
really young.
I think she was 21.
She might have been 20.
She was
I think she was 20.
younger. Yeah, I think she was around 20.
Or 19. 19 or 20, right?
She was young.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't even know if she was in her 20s. Yeah.
I was 16, so
Yeah.
8 years ago.
20.
She's right around 30, I'm guessing.
She still looks so young now. So, yeah. I think she's around 30 years old now. Yeah. So I was super happy, placing second with Courtney winning. And then India Paulina, I always look up to her, and then there was Ashley too. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Ashley. That's when she lost her title. Yeah.
She lost to Courtney.
Yeah, she lost to Courtney. She placed fourth. And I'm like, oh my God, all these amazing athletes that I look up to since the beginning, like Ashley, of course, and India Paulina. I'm like, I placed in front of them. I remember I went, my first Olympia, I placed a picture just like being compared like side by side with Ashley. And then, of course, I was all the way back there and she won. No, my first Olympia. Yeah. She won.
Ashley won 3 in a row.
Yeah, that year she won when I got second to last, yes. And then next year I was placed in front of her. I'm like, this is crazy, Of course, I'm super happy. And then the goal, of course, my journey was always like that. That year, my goal, of course, I was getting ready to win. But my goal was to just stand there with the top 5 and, So I was super happy. And then next year, of course, my goal was to win. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm doing Arnold again. And I want to win the Arnold. That was the goal. First goal, win the Arnold. I came to the Arnold and I won. And me and Courtney was a big battle. And I could win. And then for the Olympia, I was like, okay, winning the Arnold now, I know I can come really strong for the Olympia. And that's when I got the title the first time in 2000.
So even in between there was the Arnold, then there was the Arnold Australia.
Arnold Australia, of course. I went straight to Australia and I won in Australia too. And then I did the Olympia and I did the Asia Grand Prix in 2016. And I placed second at the Olympia, and then I placed third at the Asia Grand Prix. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And I was so mad, and I almost didn't go in 2017 because I was a little, how do I place second? And then I go to Korea and I place third, looking the same. I was a little, but I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to give them another chance. I really like Korea. And then I won the Olympia, and I went to Asia, and I won in Asia. And then it was so awesome, And then in 2018, I repeated everything. It was supposed for me to not do the Arnold, wait for the Olympia. I was like, you know what? Because in 2017, Courtney wasn't competing because she got some health issues. She could not do the show. And then I felt that I was like, okay, I was already the favorite. And of course, it was always strong lineup, but I felt that I wasn't competing against the champion. And I was like, oh, it was kind of like I won, but I wanted to really compete with like girls that that was winning. Ashley didn't compete that year too. Yeah, no, she didn't compete. So I was like, no, I want to do the Arnold to prove that I can win again. Like I can be, I'm not just a champion, but I can be a great champion. Like I think winning once is great, but winning twice makes you really, feel that you deserve
especially
to be
back to back
defending.
Yeah, back to back, like defending the title. So I went and I was like, it's a little risky, to do the Arnold being the Olympia champion, but I'll do it. And I remember Kimoto said, girl, don't do it. Please, let's not do it. You're already the Olympia champion. I'm like, Kim, I want to do it. Like, I went against everyone. And I said, I want to do it. I know I can do it. I believe in myself and I want to win again. I don't want to win the Arnold just once. I want to win twice and I know I can do this. And then I start my prep and this and that. And I remember my body was kind of like slowing down because there was a lot of pressure on being the Olympia champion. But at the end, my body started responding. And wow, I show up and I look at amazing and I won again. And that made me feel so good. And it gave me so much more strength to get ready for the Olympia that year. That for me was my best Olympia physique, to date until then, was that 2017 when I got my title. Yeah, when I defended my title.
I went to the Arnold, got fourth. Then the next time I went to the Arnold, I won. Then I won a second time in a row.
Won back to back too.
And then I won a third time in a row.
But you didn't do the third one.
I didn't do the third one. That's where I should.
But you know what though? But think about it. She was back to back Olympia champion, back to back Arnold champion, back to back Arnold Australia champion, and back to back Korea. She did each one back to back to back to back.
Back to back. So everything that I did in 2017, I repeated in 2018.
Yeah. She didn't lose for 2.5 years.
So you now become this like season champ, right?
Yeah.
You've won now. You pick up fans from all around the world. You become kind of like the spokesperson. You become the ambassador.
Yeah.
You become like the eyes of the division, right? Tell me the responsibility of becoming that person, because we talk about the personality and the persona and being able to be gracious to the fans, right, and be a role model. And you're doing it now beyond levels because everyone's dream and passion, and obviously it seems like it was the family priority was to raise children, right? But you've conquered these goals and you're attracting eyes from all around the planet. Does that put pressure on you in a sense, or is that something you took graciously becoming the ambassador?
I was really, like you said, I was ready to be the champion. When I got the title in 2017, I was like, I want to represent this division. I want to make this division grow. I want to be able to go to local shows, to shows all around the country and international if I can. When, wherever they want to bring me, because I love the sport so much. I was like, I really love being there. And I was always like, I always loved people. That was something that, it's my personality. I always like to come and hug and to welcome everyone and to make everyone feel that they belong. That was always me, even before competing. So I remember when I was applying for a job in a supermarket and I had to go through a big interview with a lot of people that was trying to get the job too. And I didn't speak English. They made me stand up and say, why you want this job? And I like with the broken English, I said, I need job. I love people. And I know I'll have a lot of people here. That's what I told in the supermarket. And that's why, and they said, you know why we got you a job? Because you said you love people. And we could see that you really do. And I think when I got there, being Ms Olympia was an outlet for me to touch people, to make people feel that they can do it too. It was not, I felt that it was not just about me. It was making other people that had the same dream, other girls, see that they could do one day, follow my footsteps and get there, So for me, it was like, if I always say that when I got the title, it was like I was hired for a job. Okay, now I'm the Olympia champion. I'm wearing the T-shirt, and I'm not afraid to represent.
I know, but you traveled.
Yes.
extensively,
Yes, I did.
right? Because you had sponsors, right? I mean,
Yes.
you had sponsors at
Not in the
time.
beginning.
Yeah, I was not the beginning. Yeah, I won the Arnold Classic without having sponsors.
sponsor.
Was that disappointing to you, though? Did you expect when you started winning these shows or becoming known that people would knock at your door and say, we want to pay you?
I had a few offers. That's when I found Matt, and I was like, but I didn't know what to do with them, and I didn't know what was the right number for
What did
me
you
to
call and
accept.
say to Matt?
Hey, Matt, like with a broken English.
What did she say?
How are you?
Let me know.
So
My English is not good.
So I know because I was kind of a involved in
the
this.
backstory with this is one day you call me
Yeah.
and say, hey, would
Do you know this girl? Yeah.
Yeah, no. Would you
were
ever?
part of
Would
this.
you ever work
the
with?
beginning.
Would you consider working with a girl? And I was like, and I worked with women in the music industry, and it was not fun. And I went, no, absolutely not. And he said, well, Steve has this girl, and she's got a lot of potential, and he wants to know if you'll talk to her.
Yeah.
I said, if Steve's recommending it, I'll talk to Steve. So Steve calls me and says, hey, there's this girl here. She's really good, and she needs somebody. Would you be interested? And normally I wanted to be like, no. But it coming from Steve, who to this day
Yeah.
has never, ever had another call like this with me, ever. And obviously it was only you, and to this day, the
Yeah.
only person ever. And I was like, Steve, coming from you, I'll talk to her, and I'll hear her out. And I'm telling you, when I hung that phone up, it was not a minute later, my phone rings, and I'm like, who's this? I'm not answering it. And then I see a voice note, and I click it, and I still have the voicemail. And I click it, and it's her, and she can barely speak English. I just got your number from Steve. I need help. I'm Angelica, this. And I'm thinking, why? She called me like immediately. I wasn't expecting.
I know how Steve is. Steve's like, call him right now, right?
Yeah, he's like that. Yeah.
But so before I even say anything, I look at her Instagram, and her Instagram, I see her, and then first off, working with women is not easy. And I know some women will get upset. It's not, because a lot of times you have a significant other, and they think their person is super valuable, and a lot of times they have emotion involved. Like, this is my wife, she's worth this, when it's not the case. So I look through and I look at her and I go, oh, here's her husband. I'm like, oh, he's a fighter. Great. So if I work with her and I don't get her the best deals, he's going to want to fight me. This is what went through my head. And I'm like, you know what, man? Steve has never ever recommend anyone.
Yeah.
And I reached out to her, and we started going through, and she started forwarding me stuff. And at that time I said, the deals that were coming in were not great. And I'm like, just trust me. It'll get better. Just trust me. Just trust me. Trust me. And then we went to the Arnold, and I met Marco at the Arnold, and I'll never forget it. And she didn't even know this. And I told her today this.
Yeah.
Marco pulled me aside and said, look, just promise me you'll never send my wife anywhere where you or I are not with her, because I need to make sure, that's her husband. It's his responsibility to protect her. And outside in her whole career, one time she did a trip without the two of us, but she was with her sponsor, and the people at the sponsor, we were there for 4 years, and I trusted them. And before she went, and I called the guy that was traveling with, and I said, dude, you're responsible for her. You better not let her out of your effing sight. I gave Marco my word, and it went fine. But during that period, and I say this a lot of times because a lot of people nowadays do not represent the way they should. She did over 70 appearances in 2 years. And the reason I know this is when we renegotiated her contract, I had every appearance listed and what she did, how much she got paid. I had all of this. So when I went back, and if anyone ever say she didn't do enough, she did. It was like 74, 76. I probably still have the file. Appearances. How many people can we get to even do a appearance where it's an argument or a fight?
I know, but that's over 30-something weekends.
Yes. Yeah. But sometimes, just like you, it was more than one in a weekend.
Okay.
It could be you're a gym appearance here and you're doing a seminar here, or you're doing an appearance at an expo and then at night you're doing a gym appearance. So there was a lot. Now, one of the other things that she did that I've never had anyone else do to this date, I remember there were times where, whether it was the North Americans or Nationals or the USAs, when somebody was going to turn pro, she would say, I need to be there. It's my job. Even if it came out of her own dime, she went there and said, if a girl's going to turn pro It's my responsibility to be there to
Hand her the
hold her,
award, yeah.
hand her the award, and welcome her. No other champions in any divisions do that at all.
All the nationals I've been, I always paid for my trip, for my hotel, everything, just
Yes.
to be there representing.
Yeah.
You know, because I said, you know what, I want to make money, of course, but I will also have to spend money to be able to represent well. And I think like some champions wait for, okay, if they pay for me or if they pay me, I'll be there and I'll be happy to represent. But it's not about that. Like, you got to know that you're going to make money too, and you're going to have to to use some of the money that you're making to be there for the sport, to kind of like pay back, you know?
Yeah.
So that was my mind, like, you know, my mindset. Of course, I'll do a lot of events there. I'll make money, some seminars, some traveling, some appearance. But when it's time to go to shows, to nationals, do interviews, I want to be there too, and I want to pay back because the sport changed my life. It did. It really changed my life because it's not that it was bad before. I was already a trainer. I was in the gym before, you know, like I was in, you know, it was not like when I got here in US. It was super hard because I could not work with what I studied in Brazil to do. So it was super hard. But after, you know, I started competing, that's when I really, you know, like felt that I could really succeed in something. It was great for me to be a trainer. I loved it, to be a fitness instructor, but something was still missing. That's why I didn't hit to anything like when I was competing and things wasn't going right and it was so hard. And a lot of people like, why you don't give up? Like, you know, it's been, oh my God, Angelica, you're always on a diet. It's not life. And I'm like, there was a voice in the back of my mind that always said, I know you're going to be somewhere doing this. Keep going. Don't listen to anyone. Don't listen to all the people trying to drag you down. Keep going.
I know, but I'm like witnessing a little fire in you right now.
Well,
You know?
So when was your last show?
2020 Olympia was my last show at the Olympia 2020,
And
December.
so I remember she did that show and she wasn't sure kind of like what was next. And I still have it to this day. And I was an honor that I think I was the third person to know. She sends me a text one day and it's a picture of her like this.
Yeah.
And it shows the pregnancy test that she was pregnant.
Yeah.
So and during that time, I was renegotiating her contract. And when she said she had no sponsor in the Arnold, I kept telling her, just trust me, one better will come. And it did. And she got a great sponsor and she was with them pretty much her whole career.
Yeah.
And at that
Great.
point, I'm like, oh shit, I'm renegotiating her contract, but she's about to have a child.
Yes.
But we had to keep it quiet. You know, we kept it quiet. And then obviously she announced. And then you came to the Olympia. Was it, you were pregnant at the Olympia? Your belly out?
No.
What show was
I
it?
did the Olympia in 2020. I placed fourth. And of course, I was there to try to get my title back because I lost in 2019. I got third place. That was devastating for me because, of course, the way that I represented and everything, I was like, in 2019, I was like, no, I'm coming to get that title back, to keep that title, to defend my title. I really thought I could do it, like in win.
You looked
3
great that
times.
year, right?
Well, no. Well, I did look great, but a bikini was changing. Bikini was getting a little bit more muscular, more definition. That's when we start to see more of the tying and the girls a little more tighter. And the feedback was for me to come with a little bit tight in the glutes. And I felt great the whole week, but at the day of the show, I felt that the pressure got to me when I was backstage, actually.
I remember you were standing backstage for like an hour.
You saw me before. Like, Matt saw me. He's like, oh, my God, you look amazing. Like, my coach, Kimuro, at that time, he was my coach. He was like, oh, my God, you're looking on A game. This is amazing. And I felt great. But once I got there was so many girls. It was 40-plus girls. That's when it started to get bigger and bigger. And I was the last one, of course, to pose the bikini, like the champion's always the last. And this is great because, like the best for last, right? But I put my heels on, I got glazed, and I was standing there, and then the pressure, I'm like, oh my God, everyone is waiting to see me. And then that was the first time that they kind of like put us on a stage, and there was like someone on like covering the stage. It was kind of like you had to be right behind the stage the first year. And I left my bag backstage because I thought it was going to be fast. And I didn't have any food with me. And I felt I was starting to get flat. And I needed food. I'm like, oh, I need to eat something to give me a pump. And my bag was all the way backstage, but the girls were already walking on stage and posing. And I knew I was the last one, but I was like, do I have time? Do I have time to go there and grab my bag and eat something and then pose? Like, how fast this gonna be? And this started playing games in my mind. And then I start to look in the mirror. I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm getting flat. I should eat something. Oh no, I don't have time to go backstage. You know, those things that, well, you're a champion. You want to be your best, but there's things that you can control. So I start getting that pressure and then like, no, you know what? Relax. You look just fine. But I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh no, my body's changing. I knew. And then as I thought that, I got even more nervous and depressed. And I'm like, my body's changing. And I knew when I came on stage, I knew that I was holding water because I was on my feet and then I felt that I needed food. And you know, like that, my mind was just not in the right place right before coming on stage. So when I came, everyone said, like after when I say those things, and everyone said, but what are you talking about? You just came in, you look so confident. I'm like, hey, this is what I do. You don't win like, you know, like the Olympia 2 times, and then you come and you're going to show that you're not confident. You're going to really come on stage and pretend you're confident, but I knew I wasn't on my A game. And then when they did the call-outs and they didn't move me to the center, I knew right there, I'm like, okay, I'm losing my title. And there was like, after 2 years of representing and traveling and doing everything as Ms. Olympia, it was like, oh my God, now what? Like, you know? But thank God, like at that time on stage, so many things came to my mind that I was like, okay, I'm losing my title. But now let's see who really loves the Angelica and who loves the Ms. Olympia. Because I was not the one, the champion that came to every place and like, hey, I'm Ms. Olympia, I'm not going to sit there. Hey, I'm Ms. Olympia, I need this. Hey, you know who I am? Hey, I'm Ms. Olympia, I'm going to get in this show for free. I tried to pay for many shows, like, okay, you know, I'm buying my ticket, and then people are like, hey, stop. Hold on, let me call the promoter. You're Ms. Olympia, right? I'm like, yeah, no, but that's fine. I can pay. They're like, whoa, you know, so they would come and get me in the show. I never tried to come and say, hey, I'm here, Ms. Olympia. So I'm like, you know what? This must be something good that I did, because maybe they're not gonna be like, oh, well, you know, she was just a Ms. Olympia. So, and after that, I lost the title, but I felt that people still loved me. Yeah. They still invited me to all the events. I still did seminars. I still traveled, you know.
You know what I'm thinking of right now? In 2018, I remember she said to me, can you get me on the stage before the show? And I said, why? And she goes, I need to feel the carpet. I need to feel it.
Yeah.
And she brought her heels. This was after Meet the Olympians, and we got her out there so she could feel it.
I remember that.
And then what happened on the Olympia stage? It was the talk of the bikini division. Why were you feeling the carpet?
Why? Because I did something different for my posing. Yeah, I came up with a different move, and it was a spin that no one ever done it. Not even the wellness. Now the wellness is it's very popular in the wellness posing, but nobody ever done that ever. I came up with that, and I was like, I'm the champion. I want to do something different, but I cannot do something crazy, of course, you know, like you don't want to do something that they're just going to be like, what are you doing? Like, you know, so I practiced at home and it looked really, really nice. And because I was a dancer, but I never danced in heels, I was like, you know what, it's going to look super nice. And I practiced. Of course, I got feedback from some judges, Steve, of course, because I was always in his gym. I also got feedback from Tamer and Tarek because I was sponsored by like Poxyderm at that time. And they both like gave me, Angelica, this is different, but wow, I love it. Everyone said I love it. I asked Matt and I asked my coach, and they all said, wow. I'm like, what are you doing?
Just imagine if she would have slipped.
Yeah.
It could have been a disaster.
Yeah. But that's what I said. Like, I didn't tell the judge that. Like, oh, but there's a chance of I can't sleep and, you know, like something can go wrong. But in my mind, I was like, you know what? I'm such like this is my strongest point, the posing, coming on stage and performing. I can do this. You know, like I'm the champion. I need to bring this posing, you know, like up a degree, you know. So that's when I told Matt, like, Matt, I'm a little nervous because I'm going to try something different for the first time. And it's a lot of pressure on me defending my title for the first time and, like trying something different like that. Can I step on stage? And he brought me and I could.
So it was after Meet the Olympia and she brought her heels.
Yeah.
And we took her back on stage.
Staying there until the end.
Yeah, she and that's another thing. And I know a lot of people will say this. You were the one that always stayed till the end. And every year at the Meet the Olympian, she was the last one to leave.
Well, I won 2 titles and lost.
Two times.
I won 2 in a row and then I lost.
And then what happened?
Really? That's why I thought I was going to come back. I'm telling you.
But what happened after you lost? What happened after you lost?
I came back and won it,
Yeah. But that's why I'm like, I'm going to come back and win back like Jay did. And I believe that good because he did in 2019.
Okay.
No, in 2020. I'm like, I'm going to come back in 2020 and I'm going to win because I remember we were talking like you were like.
No one's ever done it in
like,
history.
No one done
when
it
I did
but
it
Jay.
I'm like. Time. Now the divisions, a lot of people have come back to win now.
Jen Dory did this year.
Yeah, Jen Dory first one to do in bikini.
Brandon Hendricks.
Yeah.
Brandon.
And then like a lot of champions start to do it. But I remember Matt said, Angelica, it's really hard. Nobody ever done it but Jay. And I'm like, it's really hard, but if Jay did it, I can do it because, I follow his footsteps.
So what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say?
That I'm coming back.
I'm letting you say what you want to say. So what are you trying to say?
No. Take some time to talk about that. Let's go step by step. So in 2020, it's not that I don't want to talk about that, but we will. Just wait. Keep watching the podcast. So in 2020, I came back and I'm like, okay, I'm going to win my title back. And I for me, the Arnold in 2020, I look at amazing. Yes. Of course, for the new bikini, I look at like in 2018 that I defended my title, softer look, I think was what bikini was all about at that time. But 2019 had a shift and it changed. And I was like, okay, so now I don't need to have burgers anymore. So I stopped having burgers, before stage because I wanted to hold bikini softer and in a healthier, like look. But I said, okay, so this would be different. So let me do some carbo cycle. Let me get my physique to another level. And it was fun for me. It was
And
so
Kim is
fun.
helping you with this or?
Yes, that year he helped me with it. Yeah, with that. And it was fun for me to change things. Kim, he didn't want to do the carbo cycle, but I taught him, I told him hey, we need to do something different. They want me tighter.
That makes coach better when he listens to the
athlete. Yeah. Oh yeah, we always work together. Yeah. It was always like that. And then I did different and I saw my body just getting to another level that I never saw before. And I was like, wow. So when I came to the Arnold in 2020, I really thought I could win. And oh my God, it's my favorite shape ever for the new bikini. Of course, in 2018 was one of my favorites for the softer look. But when I saw my physique in that level, I look at me in the Arnold, all my stage pictures, my posing, I'm like, oh my God. And I got second place because she won the Olympia and then she won the Arnold. And she looked amazing too. I'm not taking, from her. But I was proud. That second place tasted like a big win for me because 2019 at the Olympia, I wasn't proud. I knew it wasn't my best, and there's nothing worse for a competitor than leaving the stage feeling that you did not, show your 100%, even more being the champion. So when I left the stage, it was like home. It was devastating because I lost, but it was devastating because I knew I didn't bring my best. So coming back for the Arnold and looking at me and, the way I felt on stage was just like, oh my God, I won. And honestly, I didn't get mad. I didn't get upset because I got second place after winning, the Arnold 4 times, 2 in US and 2 in Australia. I was like, second place is great because I felt like I really look at my best on stage. And then after that, I was like, okay, now I'm coming for my title. I'm going to get my title back. Even though I didn't win the Arnold, I really believe I can win the Olympia. But when it was June, I was dancing with my niece at home because I was off season and then enjoying a little bit right before thinking about starting my prep for the Olympia. And it was COVID time and the Olympia was going to be pushed back to December. And then I hurt my knee and nobody knew. Nobody knew that was so bad. But I had to get surgery. It was for me, my mind was okay, I lost my title. I got second place at the Arnold. I did not even win. Now my knee, is this a sign that I should just get surgery and then stop? And then I got surgery, and the doctor said, okay, you're not able to compete this year. You need to recover. You cannot start training until like with a few months. So it's not going to be time for you. But I didn't listen. I said, okay, well, let's see. I went and like, okay, physical therapy. The physical therapist said, oh, no training, no weights. And back at home, I was already like lifting, squatting like halfway, you know, how I could. And also, of course, doing the physical therapy, you know, at home. And I recovered so fast. With like a month, I was already training legs. With 2 months, I was back like full time in the gym, like really preparing myself. And I was like, you know what? I can do this. So I came for the Olympia, and honestly, I look at so good. Like, you know, like it's one, like the Arnold and the Olympia, one of my favorite looks ever. For that new bikini with more muscle, more definition, you know. And I felt great on stage too. Like, you know, my performance was amazing. I felt good on stage, but I placed fourth, even though I looked so good, you know. That's when I think they started you know what, let's change bikini back, and that's when Janet won, like after, you know, like trying so many years to win. She won. Jennifer Dory got second place, Cutler got third, and I got fourth. And I was like, well, it's not bad. Like, I wasn't mad, but I was like, you know what, winning, and then losing my title, and then fourth place. I'm like, you know what, it's great. I'm still, you know, in the mix. I'm happy, but maybe it's time to do what my husband always wanted. And me too. I always wanted kids, but I wanted in the right time. So in my mind, it was like, you know what, I think that's the right time to kind of like stop. The stage always going to be there if I want to come back. And then if I do, it's going to be a different reason and a different, you know, like scenario. But it's time for me to focus. But it might take a while for me to get pregnant, I thought in my mind, because all the time I never protect myself. I was always competing. I always had my cycle. Everything was perfect, but I never got pregnant, even though I wasn't trying to avoid. And I'm like, it's like maybe, you know, like we cannot have kids so easy, you know. So I left the stage in 2020, like in December. I started like an office. I still look at very lean. When was March, I started feeling a little weird. I tried to do a photo shoot for my clothing line for the AT Fitness wear that I was just coming up with. And then I was doing the photo shoot, and I'm like, I'm not even eating so much. Like, I feel so bloated. And Mark was like, baby, something's wrong. In any off season, you always gain more on your lower body, your glutes, your legs, but you never gain in your abs like this. You're looking so bloated. Something's wrong. And I'm like, oh my God, it is. And I didn't felt any nausea, anything. I'm like, you know what? Let me do a test, because that was the only sign, you know? And I did the test, and oh my God, I was pregnant like 3 months after stepping off of the stage. And it was just, I think God listened to me, that I said, you know what, now I'm ready to be a mom, but I thought it was going to take a while. Maybe it had to do something.
So he was super happy, I'm sure. You know.
He was like jumping. Oh my God. It's a funny story. Nobody knows this, how I told him that, you know. I got so excited. I'm like, I took that picture that Matt said that I sent him, you know, holding, Mark didn't know yet.
I still have it.
Yeah.
It's still in there.
He was at work, and then coming back from work, he said, oh, I'm going to pass by my friend's house, because, to the police academy, because I'm going to run with my friend. They both, you know, like he was going to the police academy to do jiu-jitsu and help them with jiu-jitsu. And he said, I'm going to go there because we're going to run together, like me and, you know, all the guys that I trained. And I'm like, no, baby, I think you should come home. And he's like, why? I'm like, no, please, I'm not feeling really well. Come home. And I'm like, I need him, because I got so nervous. I sat on the sofa, I stand up, and I went to the mirror, and I looked my belly, and I sat in the sofa again. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. I'm like, wow, I wanted that to happen, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared, because I thought it was going to take a while, of course, because all those years, you know, and I never got pregnant. And then I was like, I couldn't wait to tell him. And then once he got there, I was sitting on the sofa and waiting with the test on my hand. And then he went straight to the restroom. And I'm like, baby, where are you? He's like, oh, no, baby. I feel like I'm not feeling well. I needed to come to the restroom, and I couldn't wait. And instead of doing like all the beautiful things that all the pregnant women do. They record and they do a little gift box with the test inside and things. Oh my God, he was pooping, and I went there and I'm like, I'm pregnant. And he was like, what? I never told anyone.
Oh, this is going to be a great reel.
That's how, oh my God, don't do that. He's going to be so mad.
That's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one she sent me.
I can't believe you still have
It was
it.
just sitting in there.
Matt was the first one to know, like outside, like my husband and my family, of course, was the first one. I'm like, Matt. He's like, what? I'm like, you're not going to believe.
So look at your phone.
And like, look the picture that I sent you. He's like, oh my God. He called me and like, I don't even know what to say. Congratulations. And oh my God, like your life's going to change. Everything's going to change, but I'm so happy for you, And it was such like, everything changed. Like from that point, like, like everything made sense. Like, I was so happy, everything, because I always wanted to conquer everything in my career, and I did. I won the Olympia, I won the Arnold, like not just once, twice. I won all the shows that I wanted to win. And I felt that, like, okay, I got, like, sponsors. I traveled the world, Like, I taught people. That's what I wanted to do. I really wanted to inspire people and see people that I inspired getting, like, to the place that I was one day. And I saw that. I saw, like, Jennifer Dory place in front of me. And that wasn't bad for me. It was like, well, she said that I inspired her, and now she's doing better than me. It's because, I did something right. She really got inspired. So I saw that I did my job, at that time. And I'm like, okay, now it's time to get to another chapter. And when I got pregnant, it was just like, okay, everything made sense. I did exactly what I said my whole life that I wanted to do. I want to be successful in my career, and then I want to have kids. And then I got pregnant, but it was amazing, but it was, of course, as a female athlete, it was hard for me to see everything changing, I knew it was going to change, but it was hard for me to first step off of, like step away from the stage and then see my body changing. It wasn't really so hard for me because I still embrace it, like my belly and everything. And I felt that I was a beautiful pregnant. So I felt like everything was beautiful about that. But I saw all the sponsorships going away. I saw like the Angelica Teixeira, the icon, the top competitor, becoming a mother, and it was amazing because it was bittersweet, because
one sponsor never went away. One never went away. One sponsor.
Oh, one sponsor. The only one that never went away. Trifecta. Trifecta has been, that's why I'm wearing the shirt, because Trifecta has been with me since, okay, I was doing well already when I got sponsored, but didn't matter when I lost my title, it was still there. Didn't matter if I was trying to get my title back and I didn't, they were still there. When I announced that I was gonna be a mother, I had so much support. They were like, "What do you want to eat now that you're pregnant? Like, like what are the food? Like what changed?" Always on top of it. Like this whole journey.
Cutler Bowl.
She's gonna start.
Yeah. I tried the Cutler Bowl. It's amazing. And it was such so I could see that some went away, and I understand. I don't blame, them, and I was ready for that. And every athlete, when they every athlete gonna face that. No one gonna be there on top forever. So I kind of I saved money. I put my own clothing line, and the clothing line, and then I was doing coaching already, posing, and then I had my clients that I was prepping, and also lifestyle clients. So I was growing that too. So I was kind of getting ready, because I knew that once everything changed, the competing scenario. I know the sponsors was gonna go away, but it felt like kind of wow, everything changed, So I'm not the bikini icon anymore. Now I'm a mother, and it was amazing when I had my daughter on my arms. It was like, this is real happiness. Like there's nothing that compares to this. So that's when I was like, I thought I was born to be a champion, and I was an amazing champion, but I was really born to be a mother. Like, this is really it's was real happiness, see them smile. And
you know, it's funny that after she had her daughter, the first time I actually physically met her was at the American Fitness Expo, where there's a picture of her holding my finger.
Yeah.
And before that happened, she kept saying, she called me a couple of times, like, I have to talk to you. I have to talk to you. And I didn't know what it was. And when she gets to American, like leading into American Fitness Expo, I'm like, man, she's got a 6-pack again already. But then when she was at the American Fitness Expo, I'm like, why is she wearing this big old baggy shirt? Like, I knew something was up. And that's when she was like, she's like, I wanted to tell you, but I'm going to tell you in person. She's like, I'm pregnant again. Like, well, I figured it out.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, with some of the other pictures she posted, like other girls in the industry's like, she's pregnant again. I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know what you're talking about. I mean, because I don't repeat people's business. Yeah. And then it was like, I think Jordan was the one that she's like, oh, I know she's pregnant. I can tell.
And I'm like,
I said, no, she's not pregnant. Of course she's not. And she's like, oh, yes, she is. So then when you posted you were, Jordan immediately called me and said, I told you she was pregnant. I could tell.
And some other bikini girls, they were like, I knew it. When you post there you're walking. And I saw like you had like, your abs were a little bloated, and it's not you, Angelica. I knew you were pregnant again because it's funny, but people say, oh my God, poor thing, you got pregnant so fast again. No, I want it. Like, it was the plan. I wanted to have back-to-back kids. I have 2 sisters, and I wanted Alisa to have a sister, and we are so close. Me and my older sister, we are 13 months apart, and this is exactly the same age, like Alisa and Isla. So when she was 4 months, I got pregnant with Alisa. But my goal was to get back in shape. It was amazing because with 4 months, I had like a 6-pack already, and I felt amazing.
Just like you do now.
Just like I do now. But now the goal is not to get pregnant again.
No. So what's the goal?
Well, are you ready? You are ready for that?
Well, I mean, this is your story. This is your Picasso, and you're painting your own painting.
That's true. That's true.
So after the Olympia, how did you feel, like seeing everyone and seeing all the girls and seeing everybody? Like, how does it make you feel being there again?
So yes, like 2020, I competed at the Olympia. 2021, in the Olympia weekend, exactly 1 year after, Alisa my daughter was being born, like in the Olympia weekend. So she's an Olympia baby. So stepping off a stage 1 year later, having a baby that weekend. And then the following year was there doing the pay-per-view in 2021. Yes. Pregnant of baby number 2 and doing the pay-per-view. This year, 2 babies, already feeling good with my body. Some people thought that I was going to do the Olympia this year, but no, that was never the goal. So I went to do the pay-per-view again. But when I saw the bikini on stage and all, like the environment and, remembering my time on stage, I was like, can I do this again? Like after having 2 babies, back-to-back babies, not just one baby. I saw like competitors coming back after having one baby. But not 2 babies, like back-to-back. A lot of people said, oh, my God, Angelica, you're going to ruin your body forever. And I feel pretty good, And I'm like, can I really come back? I start questioning myself. It wasn't really until the Olympia that I felt that, Like, until then, people would ask me, and I'm like, no, you know what? I'm so busy being a mother. I'm so happy. I have done everything that I wanted competing. And I told that to so many people, like, no, I don't want to go back competing. And, it's so good to kind of like be free and travel and eat whatever I want and still live the lifestyle because, it's a lifestyle. But once I saw like bikini on stage and I was talking about bikini and I could see like, the passion came out again. And honestly, seeing the way the bikini is going again, like, it's not going like super shredded. It's not going for the look like for the glutes all like, for all the definition, the glutes, because it's not natural for the female, And I see that it's more healthy the way it used to be back in 2018, And I really love the shape. I love like the shape that Jennifer Dory brought. I love Maurice's shape. I love Ashley Kawata. She's a little bit more athletic, but I love her shape. I love the whole top 5, And I saw, you know what? I think this can be fun again. And if I want to come back, why not come back after having 2 babies? and having my baby see me on stage. And Ayla might not understand a lot yet, but Alisa does. She looks at my trophies and she said, Mom, Mom. And her eyes, like it's bright and she loves it. She sees me, like I show her videos of me on stage and she's like, oh, Mom. And she smiles and, like she looks with so much passion already. And she sees all my pictures, like, like my big pictures on the wall, my magazine covers. And she gets like the bikini. She says, bikini. She knows that. So I know she's going to see me on stage and she's going to be proud. And I want to have pictures with them, like in a bikini, winning. Yes, I'll come back. So that's the official announcement. I'll come back. I'll apply for the Arnold 2024. Hopefully they'll accept me. Let's see. I won 4 times, so I don't know. But also do the Olympia in 2024. And the goal is to come back and show that I still can be high level. I know I can. I feel great with my physique. And I know I can come back and be in the top level again.
Wow. What do you have to say?
Anything is possible.
Yes.
And you're about to prove that.
Yes.
And I when you and I were discussing this, I had mentioned to you that as far as I can think of, there's women that had success, had a child and came back. There's women that have won the Olympia that have had children in their younger years, but there's never been a champion that has stepped away, had children, and came back. So you're making history here.
Yeah.
And if, depending on how well you do, you might make a couple steps of history.
Yes.
So
imagine, yeah. I don't think, as you said, I was trying to think, but I don't think any of the women champion, any division ever had a baby and came back.
No.
So just by doing that, like I think I showed like so many people that so many things are possible, I'm living the American dream until now. I came from another country. I could not speak English. I learned the language, like I could be, like maybe sitting back and like, okay, like I'm making dollars, I'm living US, that's fine. No, but I could become someone in US, like, people that like someone that people look up to. And I know I inspired so many people by doing this. And now I can inspire people and women in general in a whole another level. Because I know some athletes, they're afraid of having children. And they're running their body and never being able to come back and compete again. So they end up never having kids.
I know, but you said your body's basically the same.
Well, I feel pretty good with my body. Yes, yes. Well, we're just gonna know if it's the same when I get really ready for the stage. But now, like my abs, I thank God, like, like I have really good genetics. I have no stretch marks anywhere, no stretch marks at all, even though I had 2 pregnancies like back to back. My belly stretched and then went back all the way. And I felt great with my abs, 6-pack, and then stretch again. I'm like, okay, after this time, it's going to be different. But once baby's out, like, and I start getting back to shape, I'm like, no loose skin, no nothing. So I'm like, wow, okay. So now it's been 9 months. It's 9 months to make a baby, right, inside of you. And then they say it's 9 months for your body to recover and for the uterus and all the organs to go back to the right place. And I think it's right. Right now, 9 months post-baby, I feel really great.
What is going to be your biggest obstacle then? Is it getting back into the routine or?
Well, okay, yeah.
I mean, you have 2 children at home. I mean, preparation.
I think it's going to be different, but I'm already on prep. I'm already on prep. I started, of course,
Well, of course, the Arnold is how many weeks now?
I think it's 14 weeks now.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's 14. I'm counting. And it's going to be many things that's going to be different. Of course, I have babies at home now. They try to feed me. As I feed them, they try to feed me. So now it's just like running away from the food. And they're like, Mom, they try to feed me all the time. And before...
The baby food's not bad,
No,
Guys used to diet on the baby food.
They eat trifecta.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a trifecta salmons.
You know what? There has to be something there that when someone eats, she doesn't eat sweets. Her kids have never had sweets.
No,
They've never had chocolate. They've never had anything.
No, yes.
there has to be something that when someone eats that healthy during their pregnancy, that the body responds differently.
I think I believe that. I believe if you like go so well, like eating the right foods, a balanced diet during your pregnancy and work out. Because a lot of women, the thing is they lose muscle during pregnancy because of the hormone change, and then they slow down, of course, on the fitness activities. But I didn't. Of course, I wasn't getting a lot of weight, because for bikini, I never did. I never needed to work out so heavy. I kept training my whole pregnancy. Like I never trained so hard my glutes than, when I was pregnant. I don't know why. I just felt that I wanted to, And after I had like my babies, I felt that, a lot of people say that I was going to lose muscle, but I don't feel that I did. I feel that I still have a lot of muscle, and it's kind of like I didn't lose the quality, but it's just really giving time to my body to recover postpartum, because we all go through that, So I think the biggest challenge will be time, but thank God I have my mother-in-law becoming soon to U.S. to help, and I also have a babysitter now, someone that I can really trust. She's Brazilian.
So you can spend time going to the gym.
Yeah, so now I have my time to there's more challenge too, because I have more clients that I'm coaching now, and I love it. So it's something that became a priority for me. But I have this babysitter that helps me, so I can work, do check-ins with my clients, have lunch with my kids, make sure that I'm there with them after I do check-ins, and then after they go to nap, that's when I go to the gym. And the babysitter stays in the house to do everything, baby. She takes care of everything, so I don't need to be washing the clothes, because I want to be with baby. So when she's there, I'm with baby. She's doing the things, that I can spend time with babies, and I don't need to be washing the clothes and folding and washing the bottles. So she's doing that, and I'm spending time, because this is priority for me too. Really spending good time and being with my babies. So I go to the gym when they're sleeping. When I'm coming back, they're waking up. So I'm done with training, cardio, clients check-ins, sometimes some late check-ins coming in, so I answer after I get home while the babysitter is still there, and then she goes, and I spend the rest of the afternoon and the night with babies. So it's been possible to balance. I see it. Before, my mind was like, I don't know, let's see how it's going to be. So I started this prep to test before, and I'm being able to prep my food and, of course, have trifecta that, everything is so much easier. But I still have to cook a little bit here and there, some extra things. But I have time for that, to make sure that all my meals are prepared, and to make sure that babies are taken care of, and make sure that I can go to the gym and do everything that So I'm like, you know what? This is possible,
What does Marco think?
He was the one that Angelica, I think you should do it. I'm like, baby, are you sure? He's like, you definitely should.
So she FaceTimed me the other day, and she's telling me about this. And the first thing that's going through my head is, what does Marco think about this? Yeah. And then and I'm kind of, okay, I'm listening to her. And then he just kind of grabs her phone. He's like, yeah, she needs to do this. She needs to do this. And I'm like, okay. I mean, because usually you're going to get pushback from, and he was the one that's telling her to do it.
Yeah. I was like, if Marco never supports it, I'll never do it again, because, my family's priority, of course. He always was. My husband was always a priority, like my family, my mom, my dad, my sisters, my niece was always a priority for me, And I think that's why I did so well competing, because I always had the balance, It was never all about competing. No, competing in the first place. I think you can get a little crazy when you do that. So having that family, being family-oriented, it gave me the balance. And now, more than ever, family is my priority, because my girls, I want to be there for them. But I think showing them that mom can do everything, can be a successful woman.
Show them their mom's a badass.
Yeah.
Call it the way it is.
Yeah. So, it's exactly. Show them that it is possible to be a champion, then having them and still be able to come back after. I think it's going to be something that is going to teach them a lesson for the rest of their life.
Well, it's back in Vegas, this year, the Olympia.
Yes. We'll be here. Yeah.
Easy. We do a lot of luck.
Easy in Vegas.
Well, you think so?
You got a little home field advantage here.
Yeah.
Because you got people here.
I have this home. Yeah. And it's gonna be, and it's good, you know, like my last Olympic in 2020 was in Orlando, and it was great, but it felt a little weird that it wasn't in Vegas, you know, and that's why I didn't get my title back. That's the only reason.
So she's coming back to win it in Las Vegas. I won mine back in Las Vegas.
Well, maybe that's, you see, maybe that's the time to
I only competed in
follow
Vegas,
Jay's
so.
footsteps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I've always said it. She's a Jay Cutler and for the women,
Yeah.
not even just bikini, the women in general,
Yeah.
because women across the board in all of the divisions talk about you, whether it's Yarishna or whether it's Andrea Shaw, they all pay attention.
I love to see this documented, like this journey. That would be really cool between social media and
Yeah.
like you gotta make sure you document the whole thing.
So we're gonna
This
do
is the official announcement.
It is.
Yes.
It's going to be
Yes, it is.
documented because there'll be other announcements coming down the pipeline that
More things
I'm already
are
getting the
coming.
messages right now. Yes, there's other things that are going to happen. That this will be documented. So we'll have to bring you
Excited.
back on either. Maybe we'll bring her on after she wins number 3.
Okay. That sounds good.
You win number 3, it'll be the first one.
I'll not be mad to do that.
But we'll have to have, but this next time though, we'll have to have the girls and Marco here because I want to hear his side.
Yes. Okay. Okay. That sounds good. Yeah. No, you're gonna see. He's so excited about this, and you know, like his support is just. I'm like, baby, are you sure? You know, like I'll need you more than ever because you know, like there'll be like at the end. Right now, it's still fun. It's a lot of food. You know, like it's less cardio. But at the end, I need to nail my physique. I need to make sure that I come on point. You know, because I don't want to compete if it's not to look my best. So I want to make sure that I'll have time for that. He's like, baby, whatever you need, you know, I'll be at work, but when I'm home, you can count on me. So I have like 100% his.
Well, if that Arnold happens, you're already way ahead of the game from the first time.
Yeah.
Because you're not overeating into the holidays. I mean, you're already striking distance right now.
No, I'm telling you, I never started a prep in the shape that I'm starting right now.
Okay, so
So after having 2 babies, I think it would be the best shape that I ever started a prep. You know, so it's good too.
Well, in the near future, the world's going to know.
Yes. And there's something that's going to be different here too. Now, you know, like I'm coaching, you know, like more and more, you know, I'm with Fit Body Fusion, you know, company. So I have so many more clients. I love it, you know, being with them. And I decided that I'll coach myself for this one because, you know, yes.
Wow.
I know it will be a lot of more pressure on me, but I know I can do this because, you know, like I know I can.
Who's going to be your eyes then?
I have a really good friend that she was always,
Honest.
no, she was always one of the eyes, you know,
Okay.
in all my preps.
You need an honest
You know, her name is
person, yeah.
Anna Daltro. So I have to say her name because she deserves credit.
No,
Yeah.
she's always there.
Yeah, she
I
was
know
always
her.
there. She was there at my last Olympia. She was there at like so many Olympias. She was there, you know, and she was there at my last Arnold, my last Olympia, helping me, you know, like with less details, you know, like really nailing my physique. And she was always my second eye, like, hey, what do you think? Okay, we need to still, you know, like, you know, you're right on point. We don't need to do anything crazy.
So she's studying the new credentials of what bikini is. So you.
Yeah, she's a personal trainer.
Okay.
She's one of the best. She's in California, San Diego. She's one of the best. The gym that she teaches, you've been there. She said,
Gym.
oh, Jay Cutler was here. The
Gym.
gym.
Yeah.
The gym.
Gym.
Yes.
San Diego.
Oh, you've seen her before. You wouldn't recognize.
Okay.
I remember her.
Yeah. And you saw her before in the met
many
met
a
her
times.
many times. Yeah, she's a great personal trainer, and she has some clients too. She's a coach too, and it's not that I'll be doing my own thing, but she'll be kind of like
Second.
The second eye.
So, you know, like I'm just excited for that too because I want to prove that I can do this, you know, also by myself. So it's a little crazy that, you know, like it takes a lot of courage to compete in the high level after having babies and coaching myself. But I know like after in life, for me, like you say, there's nothing impossible.
Yeah, the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, it is.
Well, not yet until we post it.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were running the social.
Oh, no.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
It'll
It'll be this week though.
Yeah, it'll be in the very near future.
Well, a lot of people is already like I posted like how I look now, like, and I'm posting videos in the gym, like you say that you saw me training. so many people like, Angelica, you're looking amazing. You're coming back. Are you coming back? I'm holding. I don't want to say because I wanted, I wanted to have Jay, and of course, Matt. He's part of my journey since, the beginning. And Matt was there when nobody else was too, like through all the ups and downs. And, like when I thought I was never come back, he's like, well, if you never want to come back, you still can have sponsors. I still be fighting for you. I still be bringing your name. I still be bringing you to expos. And whatever you want to do, I'm here to help you, He was always there. So I wanted him to be, like in this announcement. And I wanted you to be in this announcement too, Jay, because you inspired me to be the champion that I was, Like when you become a champion.
Is.
Yeah, hey, he cannot hear. Look, he cannot hear a compliment.
Once a champion, always a champion.
You always have
always an ambassador, always
always
leader.
Yeah.
I think her coming back too, it'll show. I don't know. Like it seems like the industry's got lost a little bit, where the people are so concentrated on social media and video, social media, but they don't have that personal. I'm gonna come see you, and she was always the one. When she first started getting notoriety, I remember her asking me like, "What do I have to do to represent this?" And I just said, follow Jay. Watch what Jay did, because he put the blueprint out there. This is how you can do it. And I've said this to a lot of people. There's two people that have really kind of followed it. Angelica and Yarishna. Now, Yarishna hasn't won the titles, but she does get out there physically and say, come hug me. You want help? I'll help you. It's a personal thing. It can't just be Instagram and YouTube.
But I'll tell you why not everybody does that. Because it got to be in you. Like Jay, he's like that. He did not become that person after he won. Right, Jay? He was always like that, So it takes like my personality was always like that too. But I had to have a champion that I look up to be able to kind of like, okay, I'll follow his footsteps. But if it wasn't in my personality, I'll never be able to treat people like I treat, and to really be, like who I was for all the new girls coming up, and tell them like, hey, you can do this. And even to go to expos and meet people and talk to them like if I knew them, like, and making them see that they matter too, like that I'm there and they are important to me, So being who you are is really important too, because sometimes you look at a champion, like I know many champions after me, even in the bikini, they kind of like look up to the champion that I was, but they tried, but they could not do what I did, because it's your style, it's who you are, it's how you
everyone has their own way.
Yeah, everyone has your own way, So it's kind of like looking at someone like I look up to Jay and putting my own personality to it and being able to really touch people like he did, So it's not anyone that's going to come like, okay, I'm going to win the title and I'm going to be exactly as Angelica was and I'm going to look up to Jay and do exactly. No, it got to be...
your version.
Yeah, your version.
There was something that I've tried to do the last 2 years, and she doesn't even know this. You don't know this. None of you do. So Trifecta gives away some of the Olympia winning awards. And every year when you were there, I wanted to try to find a way to sneak you away to hand it away.
Yes.
I tried.
But you know why I couldn't do it the last 2 years? Because I was doing the pay-per-view and talking about bikini.
I know that, but what I wanted to do was I was going to say, hey, can I run back there as soon as it is? Can I run her up there to hand the award out and then run her back? But I didn't do it because I was like, it could mess things up. Yeah. But this next year, I don't have to do that because you'll be on the stage.
I'll be on stage.
Yeah, but the year after.
And hopefully I'll be getting an award. On stage.
I'm sure you'll get an award. We'll just have to see how far up you'll be.
Yeah.
You can do it. If anyone can, it's you.
Well, I know I can. I believe I can. And, like, I know everything that I set my mind to do it. I'll always do 100%. And I'm ready to take this next season and really show that I can come back and look my very best on stage.
We're excited to see it.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming out and jumping on, and anyone else.
And people didn't know that she flew here just for this.
Yes, I flew.
So you're getting back on a plane?
Yes.
You get
planes in 2 hours.
Well, in 2 hours.
The private planes flying back to Texas.
The private Southwest.
Well, when you win the Olympia twice, that's why, because you have a private plane.
See, like you kind of like, she literally flew here. I picked her up came here. You came in. We're filming. We're gonna take
I got stuck in a crazy traffic. I was live on my Instagram, and like you text me like you're gonna beat me there, and I got stuck in that 15 traffic. There was a trailer truck drove into it. Literally, it was like drove into a car.
Oh,
The side of a car. It must have pushed a car, you know. So all the traffic was backed up, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be a little late.
we almost had I had panicked. So we pull in, and I go, oh, this office, and I open the back door. I'm like, my backpack's not here. I'm like, and then the first thing went through my head is oh my God, did I send it in the truck and did I drive off?
He was so anxious about picking you up because you came an hour early or whatever.
You know, your flight was supposed to land, and you were almost an hour early.
Really?
Yes, it was supposed to land at 10:40 something. Yeah. And I'm looking, and I look at the thing, and I'm tracking. I'm going, oh, she's gonna be 30 minutes early. And then I look again. I'm like, well, God, she's gonna be an hour early. Wow. So I said, she's gonna be way early. So I raced over. I dropped my dry cleaning off because I have to have a suit for a wedding soon. And I dropped my dry cleaning off. And then I realized when I got her, I went, oh, did I leave the bag at home or did I leave it on the back of my truck? Is it in the middle of the street? And I started panicking because I'm like, oh my God, both my laptops are in there. Oh my God, did I just? So we sprinted back to the house, and it was in my. It was
So we look forward to the social media buzz. We look forward to all the great, because I know there's going to be a lot more announcements.
Yes.
Want to wish you all the best. I know I want to wish you the best health, positive mindset.
Thank you.
And also the inspiration that you are going to, this could be the greatest for a lot of people out there that are trying to get going. I'm sure your clients are super excited. You have a lot more community behind you now. And this is going to touch a lot of people. So we appreciate you coming on. And I can't wait to see what 2024 is going to bring. Hopefully we'll see you in Columbus to start. And
yes.
Yeah, hopefully they accept you. I mean, you only won 4.
hopefully, yeah.
We'll maybe Jay will put in a word.
So hopefully, yeah, if they accept me, well, it's just 14 weeks and everybody gonna
let's go.
What the mom of two gonna bring to the stage.
Look forward to it.
See, look at that.
Yeah.
2-time Ms Bikini Olympia, 2-time Arnold Classic, 2-time Arnold Australia, 2-time mom.
Soon to be 3.
So, but
who knows? Maybe later I win 3 times.
I was
He has a 3rd kid.
I was gonna say, what if you win 3-3?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think.
All right, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.